sex orgy. Is it the bonobo? I think it's
Uh,
the bonobo.
I could not tell you. I have no idea. Hello there, my name is Matthew, and I'm offended by whatever you just did
And
5
I'm
minutes
DJ.
ago. Yeah, I figured I'd go
Yes,
ahead.
I was right. It is bonobos.
I figured I'd go ahead and
Sorry.
jump in on the Fallout 4 one, since it's probably the quickest to go through.
Sure.
So let's see here. God, I really don't. I don't feel like reading this huge block on the Wikipedia about the gameplay. It's frickin' Fallout. Like, it's either first person or third person.
I actually know very little about this game.
So let's.
You
you obviously know that there's dog meat and he's incapable of dying.
Which that bothers me. I don't like that.
Featuring a split piece armor system, but isn't that like? Do they mean like individual body parts now? I don't. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, dog meat for blah blah blah. You still got your Pip Boy. 50 base guns, supposed to be crafted with a variety of modifications, over 700. I don't know if I believe that. Power armor is now more like a vehicle than armor, and you can customize it with like miniguns and shit and jetpacks. Which I'm fine with, because I never used power armor anyway, because I was a stealth character. But if it means I can throw on some power armor for like 18 death claws trying to kill me, and it's like a mech, that's awesome. Let's see. A new feature to the series is the ability to craft and deconstruct settlements and buildings. Players can select some in-game objects and structures and use them to freely build their own structures. In addition, the towns can be powered with working electricity using a dynamic power line system. Merchants and non-playable characters can inhabit the player's towns, for which the player must provide sustenance by growing food in makeshift patches and building water spouts. You can build various defenses around their settlements, such as turrets and traps. The Pip Boy is the same as it was. You can also find game cartridges that you can use to play like little mini games on it. VATS is back.
Cool.
VATS is back for targeting individual body parts and weapons. However, you can now, with a button press that has a refill timer on it, choose to do a crit instead of it being a chance all the time.
I don't know about that.
Like, I'm fine with that, depending on
emulates the act of aiming.
Yeah, depending on what the recharge time is, I'd imagine it also is a bigger drain on your VATS and your action points. Special, we already went over that. It's special, it's and everything, and how they have the perks or whatever the fuck they are. Like 275 of them best off your special. No level cap, 12 recruitable companions. Let's see what else. Game doesn't end once the main story is complete, but that's
that's pretty much par for the course, actually.
Yeah. It takes place 200 years after the war, roughly the same time as Fallout 3. It's in Boston, in the surrounding New England area, known as the Commonwealth.
Oh, that's cool.
Unlike previous titles, Fallout 4 story begins the day the bombs are dropped. The player character, voiced by either Brian T. Delaney or Courtney Taylor, which I pulled them up too because I have no idea who the fuck they are, takes shelter in Vault 111, emerging 200 years later.
So what? This one vault had cryogenic features?
It would not surprise me, considering that most of the vaults were like social experiments. However, before I finish that, I pulled up both of them. Honestly, out of these, the guy, Brian T. Delaney, I could not find anything on here worth mentioning that I knew you'd know. Looking back over it real quick, he had some voices in Dishonored as aristocrats and stuff like that. Yeah. Not a lot to. The female Courtney Taylor, however, had a lot more. She was in Rubber. She was in that crappy Resident Evil Damnation movie as Ada Wong. Okay. There are more of these. She was in Regular Show as Starla. I can keep going.
I don't know that one. I don't know that last one.
There was another one on here that I knew you'd know. And I'm flipping back through them real quick off this list trying to find it. Oh, of course. Dumbass, she's Jack. From Mass Effect.
Oh, from Mass Effect?
Yes.
Alright.
She's Jack.
Mass respect.
There was another one on here.
No reaction? Just no reaction to that?
No, I have no idea what you did.
You know what? Fuck you.
And in Destroy All Humans, she was Natalia Ivanova.
You know, you're going to hear that again when you go back to the recording, and you're going to be like, "Oh God, how did I miss that?"
That's funny. You think I'm going to go back through the recording? I don't know if we've discussed before. I hate hearing myself talk. I'm going to make sure the audio is there. That's about it.
You disgust me. I'm looking through Brian T. Delaney to see if there's anything that I know that you didn't know I knew.
Oh, and instead of using the engine from the previous Fallouts, it uses the creation engine that's in Skyrim. So you can like actually customize your character's face and everything. And they mention having mobile device integration as like a second screen as a Pip-Boy display, which I always have my phone connected to my computer anyway because that's where the charger is. And if it means that I can just have like ready stim pack button.
I don't like
it means,
that.
Well, actually, that's not true. I'm going to play it with
integration.
That's not true. I'm going to play it with a controller, so it's probably never going to get used.
Yep.
Or if it did, I would probably just I would probably just keep it off to the side as a map. If I could have done that in Skyrim, if I could have just had the map ready to tell me where the hell I'm going.
This is stupid. Like all of the like games and movies that he's been in that I know, it just says like something super generic.
Yeah.
The only thing
Soldier
I
number
so
3
far is that he was Master Mantis in Kung Fu Panda.
The game.
Yeah, the game, not the movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same for Wreck-It Ralph, and I was like, oh, Wreck-It Ralph. And I was like, it's a shame that they didn't get John C. Reilly.
Right.
Either way, out of all that, I gotta say the part I'm looking forward to the most is the base building aspect. That's because I've been going on a base building bender lately. I understand it was actually one of the really popular Fallout 3 and New Vegas mods was for base building.
I mean, Fallout, it's like, oh, whatever, it's post-apocalyptic sci-fi RPG, which is cool, but not base building though. That's awesome. I'm into that.
I can't speak for because there's a picture for the vats. It's got a mole rat, and I cannot speak for the quality of the mole rat because it's in vats, and so obviously there's a bunch of overlays over it. But the scenery looks nice. That I believe that would be a rock, like, which is weird because when Skyrim first came out, it was like, oh wow, this looks so nice, but then it quickly faded to not being nice, as opposed to something like Uncharted.
Oh yeah, sorry, it took me a second to parse that sentence.
All right, so that was.
I was typing you out a.
You were typing.
I was typing you out a quick message because I didn't want to repeat that joke on recording. So yeah, now you got it.
Oh, that's horrible. Anyway.
So, since we were talking about Fallout, I wanted to bring up one of my topics. What happened to colors in video games? Because that was my biggest complaint about New Vegas. And by extension, I guess Fallout 3 as well, but New Vegas was worse about it. Just why do people think that realistic means brown with lots of bloom?
I don't think it's realistic so much. Well, it is for a lot of it, but it seems like a lot of realistic things that go for it also go for after some kind of apocalypse or great warfare or anything like that. And yeah, no, it kind of sucks. Like, it's one of the things I liked more about The Last of Us was the fact that it's like, oh yeah, it's after the apocalypse, but look, nature's still here. We didn't just nuke each
still
other.
Got lots of green. It's one of the biggest reasons why I still love Nintendo games. Because Nintendo actually uses primary colors in their video games, and it makes it entertaining to look at. I know it makes me sound like a bit of a child to say it like that, but it's a lot more fun to play a colorful game than it is to play an orange game, you know?
It's actually one of the reasons I enjoy the Tales games and like Persona and games like that is that they are a lot more vibrant than other JRPGs.
Absolutely. My favorite thing about Persona, by the way, isn't so much the art direction as it is the music. The music in those games are fucking on point.
Oh yeah, no, the music in them is always fantastic.
The art's really good too. I'm not saying it isn't. It's just that I've played those games mostly for the music than any other reason.
Well, that and I don't. I almost feel bad saying that the art's all right. I'd probably enjoy it more if it wasn't set in where half of Persona is like, oh yeah, it's kind of like a dating sim,
and then half of it's like a dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
Yeah. In general, though, I gotta agree, Tales by far the superior.
But apparently, that's like a big thing is having things where it's like, oh yeah, it's it's this for most of it, but then at the end of every mission or whatever, we have this dating sim part where you have to decide who you're going to spend time with and who you want to betray you later and try to slit your throat in your sleep.
I actually don't mind that though. I think it adds a lot to the character development that this aspect of their life isn't their only aspect of life.
I mean,
like they're still just a normal dude while they're trying to save the world.
God, there's something fucked up about this body doll.
Excuse me?
Because I'm doing whatever in Manga Studio where we're talking, and I didn't realize from like other positions, like from camera angles, but the one I had, I was looking at, I was like, wow, this body's really fucked up when I did the outline of it. And I was like, wow.
No, why do you think games just aren't as colorful anymore? And why do you think people keep buying that shit up?
Have you seen God, there's like 800 internet articles about it. The frickin' orange blue thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Contrasting colors, you know.
Yes, I have nothing to add to the conversation. Like, I don't know, maybe blue and orange is the most colorblind friendly of the contrasting colors.
Dude, I don't know.
Also, because for some reason people think that video games need to be as dull as the real world to be realistic.
Video games need to be gritty.
Yeah, I say that in the nicest way possible. We live out basically in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's nature everywhere, and it's beautiful and lush and green. And then you go into a city and you're like, oh wow,
boring.
It's gray and darker gray, and oh look, that Pizza Hut's got a red roof. That's
nice. Yeah. I like my primary colors.
Alright, that's what's fucked up with
her. What did you want to talk about next? Now that we kind of just agree that hey, no color sucks.
One that was on my list that I was actually gonna attempt to just throw in with yours. Was the death of campaign in single player. So many games now are like, oh no, we're not doing a campaign. We're just gonna have multiplayer.
Yeah, that's on my list too. It seems like single player games are becoming less popular, but I can't tell if they actually are because there's still a really strong, thriving RPG market. But even those all have multiplayer side games. Looking at you, BioWare.
I don't know. It's just kind of sad. Like I really don't have an answer for it besides the fact that obviously multiplayers with a lot of console games are bought for now instead of campaign because it's a bunch of 12-year-olds that never learned to properly respect the journey of a humble plumber defeating 7 decoy tyrants and then the 8th.
Do you think single player games are ever just going to go away completely?
I would also say probably because all the best writers for games are already locked down in like 4 positions, and nobody else wants to bother with
it. Possibly. I don't know enough to say. Yeah, I worry about single player gaming just disappearing in the next 20 years. You know?
It's brave of you to think that it would take 20. Yeah, pretty much. Obviously not in indie games and things like that. But yeah, I say that, but then I think about it, and a lot of indie games now are just multiplayer.
Yep.
If nothing else, I have faith that Nintendo, as long as it's around, will still try to be there for children that don't have friends. They'll be like, no, here you go, play, have fun. You don't need to go outside, but you totally do in 30 minutes.
It's not even so much that kids don't have friends anymore that play single player games. It's more like with the advent of matchmaking, you can just jump into a bunch of assholes, and I don't like that. You know, if I play multiplayer, I want to play with my friends.
Here's an actual pedometer.
Difficult.
Just the thing about whenever I said you don't need to go outside, but go outside in 30 minutes, the first thing that came to my mind was that list with here's an actual pedometer, take the hint.
Yeah, Nintendo just trying to get kids more and more to go outside of their Pokemon games.
I mean, in all fairness, being dropped into a match with complete random assholes and 12-year-olds really wasn't a problem back before online gaming was a real thing.
Yeah.
Like back when you had to do LAN parties and things like that, and
which I still prefer. I prefer to be.
Yeah, because then you can strangle the person.
I don't like competitive gameplay anyway.
No, I meant in cooperative.
That really benefits from being in the same room.
I meant in cooperative. Like if you're playing Diablo, and let me actually put this another way. Let's say you're playing Diablo back in not Diablo 2. God, what, like 2001 was when the expansion came out.
Back when it was still popular. Yeah. You get that one asshole that just comes in as a necromancer and fries everyone's CPU.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say actually, and that's that's fantastic if you're actually in a LAN party together. Yeah, 2001, because then you can strangle that person.
I don't know. The point I guess I'm trying to make is that I'm really fucking salty that I'm being forced to play with strangers that I don't like.
Oh,
I really don't like that.
I played quite a few multiplayer games recently, and so many of them I've played like an hour or 2 hours of. Some of them, especially MMOs now, are really solo friendly because they just kind of condensed every class into the same thing. And I gotta say, I enjoy not having to play with random assholes. And then I'll play like a shooter or something, I'll be dropped in. And sometimes they're nice people that are good and use teamwork. And sometimes there's a slugger muffin that runs out there with a light machine gun and gets gunned down by 8 different guys over and over and over and over. And God forbid that you go down at any point in that, because then they're gonna be like, dude, why you keep dying?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of person I want to avoid when I'm trying to have fun, because I don't think that's fun. I don't know how anyone does think that's fun. I really just do not understand.
I'd say another
It's
big potentially part of games becoming more and more multiplayer focused is that there are so many indie games now, and like a lot of them go free to play. And I
pretty
mean,
quickly,
why you could
actually.
if you're like EA or somebody like that or whoever the fuck does Call of Duty, why are you gonna bother with a campaign when your competition is literally a game that is nothing but multiplayer?
Yeah, it's like
And even when it is now, it's usually just really sad. Like, cause I was looking forward to
the campaign's just a tutorial for multiplayer, like a 6-hour tutorial. That's all it is.
I was really looking forward to I still am Rainbow Six Siege, among other things. I'm looking forward to Fallout 4 now. I'm sure it's not going to get it on day one when I have to wait for 8 updates before it's playable. But
Now, I got burned out on Fallout Day 1 purchases by New Vegas. Which, if you listen to the previous podcast, you know my problem with that.
besides the fact that if you try to modify that one pistol, you end up with a giant exclamation mark.
Oh no, I'm far more salty about how I lost like 8 save files before I even made it to New Vegas.
Yeah, I hate that pose. Yeah. Shit, I was gonna say something.
Hey, this
New
just in.
Vegas.
Did you know there's a Dragonlance tabletop game?
Ugh. Like actual like board and dice and like Monopoly tabletop game, or like it's D&D but in the Dragonlance part of D&D.
No, like it looks kind of like a hex grid, kind of like Settlers of Catan. I have no idea.
I was about to say
It's definitely a board game though. It's a board game.
I'm suddenly much more curious about how the hell. What I was gonna say is I was looking forward to Rainbow Six Siege, and
I just don't know enough about that game.
It's a Rainbow Six game.
I don't.
And
I'm not into first-person shooters. That really doesn't even mean anything to me.
They announced that they're not gonna have a campaign on it, like a single-player campaign or even a co-op one, which was
that's
the best.
Only on the that's only on like 360 and PS3 though. As far as I know, PC, PS4, and
Are you sure
Xbox
you're thinking of the
One,
right game?
They'll still get single player.
Are
yeah,
you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Let me look.
Because I'm pretty sure you're thinking of like Halo 5 or something like those, or Battlefront.
No, definitely not thinking. Yeah, the new Battlefront. That might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Google it. Black Ops 3, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Either way, Rainbow Six Siege doesn't have any campaign or single player or co-op like they usually did. Like that was the best part of like Vegas and Vegas 2 was finding like a decent group and then running through the game like 3 times in a row and just getting better and better. Instead, they have like multiplayer matches that are against bots and everything, and
yeah.
I'm still gonna play it because
the appeal.
I'm still gonna play it
first-person shooters
because plenty of YouTube people play first-person shooters, and I really want to just be in a video where somebody's like, "God damn it, this guy shot me in the face 8 times going down the same hallway."
Implying that all all YouTubers suck at video games.
When they're recording, most of them, yeah.
Yeah. Which, I understand. You can only pay attention to so many things at once, but it really pisses me off. Like, at least fucking read what you're playing, and then don't blame the fucking video game for telling you what to do when you just didn't pay attention.
Or, blah, 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 blah. My brain just went out of town there. Sucking. Yeah, no, it is definitely hard to focus on like multiple things at once. But like even me and Tyler, when we weren't focusing on talking and we recorded something, it was still or even just luck. Oh my god, So I have those 2 videos of playing the Pokemon trading card game online up. And my win-loss before that was not great. Like it was nowhere near 50-50 though. Like definitely won more matches than I lost. And then as soon as I started recording, both times got wiped out my first match in tournaments. In a game that is just about as much luck as it is skill. And it was just like the cards fucked me. Like
I'm not complaining so much about people who aren't good when they're recording, so much as people who blame the game for that.
Like Yami Yugi believes in the heart of the cards enough to win a fucking dice game, and apparently I just don't have that in me.
I'm looking. By the way, I've got the description for that Dragonlance game if you're interested.
Yeah, no, let's hear it.
Alright, in the Dragonlance board game, each player commands an army of dragons in search of the fabled Dragonlance. The first player to snatch the Dragonlance from the top of the central tower and successfully deliver it back home wins. But be careful, your opponents will attack your dragons, trying to make them crash or even steal the Dragonlance and use it against you. So it comes with a large hex map board, 30 dragons, 2 sets of rules, cards, dice, altitude markers, and more.
Oh god.
It sounds like some hardcore shit, actually. Yeah, this sounds like it could be pretty intense.
Look, as soon as a game adds more than the 2 dimensions I expect in a fucking board game. It's like how there's that Star Wars game that's like just being a pilot or whatever. It's got all the different like turning things and all that, and it's just like, wow, I could never play that.
I don't know, this looks good though.
Matthew, the Millennium Falcon cannot turn in that tide of a ray. Fuck you, it's illegally modified. I call Raceland. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. I've got golden eyes.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking through the stuff I want to talk about tonight.
Well, while you're looking through, I just wanted to mention, because we looked it up. What the fuck, Capcom? Like, what the fuck? Where it's like...
Which one?
Where it's like Zangief is, or however the fuck it's supposed to be pronounced, like, whatever. I'm sure you saw that video on the internet, yeah. Where it's like, he's 7 foot tall and, like, 253 pounds. And it's like, wow, I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm 6'4", and I weigh, like, 238 at this point, and he's got about 100 pounds of muscle on me. Yeah, like, if he was my height, he would have 100 pounds of muscle on me. And he's not. He's like 8 inches taller.
Yeah.
Like, unless he's fucking helium.
7 feet tall. It's...
Yeah, like, that's not how that works.
He's 7 feet tall and looks like he could fuck a bear. Like, there's no way he weighs that little.
Like, one of his things is that he's like... He's got, like, that iron defense thing or whatever where he's just like, my sheer wall of muscle will deflect your blows, jackass. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't work if that's, like, an inflatable suit.
Hold on, let me see. Let me look something up.
I feel like they really did just, like, somebody was like, so how tall is he? 7 foot tall. How much does he weigh? I don't know. We don't have any white people here in Japan. 254, that's a big number.
Hold on. I'm actually looking up an ideal weight calculator.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Find a BMI calculator.
So I need Zangief's. I'm looking up Zangief's age because that's part of it. If it has age. Does not have age. Okay, so we're going to say he looks about 40.
Yeah, I'd believe that. God, there's just something fucked up about that, like, chest size. Like, not even, like, breast size, just literally, like, the diameter for fucking ribcage.
Matthew.
What?
Matthew. I just looked up Zangief's height and weight, and you're looking at fucking kilograms. It's 158 kilograms at 350 pounds.
Was he only 158?
Kilograms, yeah. 350 pounds. Which is a lot more believable.
Why would they put him in fucking... Oh my god, like... Alright, so now I have a different complaint to Capcom. See,
kilograms is
which one did you pull it off of?
The rest of the world uses. You can't really blame them.
Which one did you pull it off of?
I just googled Zangief height, and I come off of it from the Capcom database. Like Google told me, like before I even went to a website. Google said this is how much he weighs.
See, that's the problem. I pulled mine from the Street Fighter wiki and out the database. On the wiki, it does say 253 pounds at 115 kilograms. See, I'm not so angry now because on the actual database it has it in fucking centimeters for his height. Because that was gonna be my complaint was, well, why is his height in feet and inches in fucking Imperial and.
By the way, the ideal weight for this man is about 250 pounds. So.
The hell. What is wrong with the world?
I don't know. I just that seems like it would be unhealthy. That 7 feet tall and 200 pounds would be rail thin.
Oh wow! I got this. Is it on there too? Hold on a second here. Yeah. Oh my God! 1956. He is a little older than 40.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw that myself. I also love how he's portrayed as such a bad person, but under his likes it says he likes helping people in need and kids. Like, apparently he's just a good dude.
God, they even have like his measurements and shit. Like
anyway, now
but not the one that matters. Not how
this mystery.
Not how many bears can he juggle. Important questions. Important questions that deserve answers. Alright, so what you got on the list?
The next thing on my list is I want to talk about series that have just died. Like they made a couple of games and then they just stopped making games. Out of all of those, which one do you think deserved it most?
What, the dying?
Like what game was just what game was just so awful that had sequels and they finally stopped making sequels? Which game were you most glad to see that happen?
Ooh. That's a good one.
Two Worlds is the first obvious choice.
My first thought was actually one of a series I'd like to die. I know a few I'd like to die. Oh, that is a tough one. Series that I feel like they deserve to die.
Do you want the second part of this question while you think about it?
Yeah, let me get the second one.
Which one do you want to see come back the most?
I want a sequel to Legend of Dragoon.
That's actually something else I wanted to talk about today, so we'll come to that after this.
One that I'm glad died. I mean, I didn't really have a problem in Two Worlds. Like, the first one sucked, the second one was alright.
It was alright. It still wasn't as good as I wanted it to be after they made such a big deal about apologizing for the first game.
I'm a horrible person.
What?
I have my answer, by the way. I had two answers. The first one was really fucked up. The second one, it was those shitty Zelda CDI games. I'm glad they quit making anything for the CDI.
God. Yeah.
My first thought was, well, I'm really glad they quit making Mega Man games. Like, you know me, I love Mega Man, Mega Man X, Legends, love it all. Mega Man probably the series that I've beaten the most games of. at least like the second or third. Because the one I beat
But
the
there does
most
have
of
to
is
come a time
Castlevania.
in every series.
But yeah, it's people were
Whereas
so
this time
salty
to
about
say
it
I'm
and
done.
everything, and it's like, my God, have you actually looked at how many fucking Mega Man games we have?
The one I'm most glad to see gone is well, just take your pick of any shitty DOS shooter like Jazz Jackrabbit, Commander Keen.
Ah, I forgot
I am so
Bubsy.
glad
Bubsy
we're
would have
done
been a
with
great one
those.
to say. I'm glad it's dead.
Yep, and Bubsy as well. That's another good one.
Blasto,
But yeah,
Jersey Devil.
Hey, don't you talk shit about Blasto, alright? I had fun with that game.
Have you looked back at Blasto? Like, have you actually went back and seen somebody play it or played it?
No, and I never will,
See,
because I want that to stay nostalgia in my mind.
I wish I had that kind of faith in nostalgia, because I've went back and I've seen Jersey Devil. I've seen the face of Satan himself.
Yeah, I've watched people play Jersey Devil, and it is pretty awful.
I've seen God's puckered asshole. Like, that's the best way I can describe Jersey Devil looking back at it.
If I had to pick just one, just one game series that I'm glad is just gone forever. Yeah, I am gonna say Commander Keen. No, better yet, because they also made DOS shooters for this series. Duke Nukem. I am so glad that Duke Nukem Forever finally came out and we got it out of our systems and that game series is fucking dead.
Yeah, it's funny
because so sick of hearing about Duke Nukem.
Because a lot of people agree that the 2D shooter Duke Nukems were way better than the 3D ones. I'm one of those people, mostly because he's a fucking talking.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh yeah. I don't remember any of his other ones. It's been so long since I played a Duke Nukem game. The last one was Duke Nukem 3D, Manhattan Meltdown or whatever, or the Manhattan Project,
etc. The one I want to see come back the most, I'm with you. Legend of Dragoon, by far my favorite PlayStation 1 RPG, and it's set up so perfectly for a sequel, and they just never capitalized on that.
It was fantastically set up for a sequel.
Like, you don't understand, folks. This game ended on such a perfect
note. Or maybe you do.
It completed the entire story, and then just they had one little scene at the end that was like, oh, it could be a sequel, could not be a sequel.
One of these was correct.
Nothing ever came of that.
Some would say the wrong one.
Directly into another topic I want to talk about. Why Legend of Dragoon is the best PS1 game, and what would a sequel even be about?
See, I actually thought about this the other day. No, today. I thought about this today.
I think about this often.
So let's hear yours.
Why Legend of Dragoon is the best PS1 game?
Although
I mean, aside from the...
Anyone who's played it is probably like, no, we understand.
Aside from the English was strong. The English was very strong. Aside from that, it had really good writing. Just really good character development, plot development, had a very sprawling story. The combat was actually really interesting because it was turn-based, but you still had a lot of input. Enemies try to defend themselves when you're doing the button inputs and threw you off. Just really good in-depth gameplay, especially for the time. And a sequel? Well, I mean, obviously I'd love to see someone else pick up the mantle of the Dragoons. Like they show the just kind of lying there. And what, is that just the end? No one ever finds those ever again? Rip in peace? You know, like, why doesn't someone ever come along, pick this up, say, what's this?
There was a thing on Facebook that said, what the fuck is with this arm? That said, spoil or spoiled the ending of your favorite game without any context. And my comment on it was, and then 2 people hungry for eggs became heroes of legend.
God, I want to play that game.
Because I knew that anybody that played Legend of Dragoon would look at that and go, huh, yeah, I'd like to see that. For me, the choice of why it's the best JRPG and probably just the best PlayStation game, which, God, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid was also on the PlayStation. Like, it's hard to say, like,
Metal Gear Solid was pretty legit, but I didn't get to play that until I was older.
That, and I don't know, I like it more on the Twin Snakes collection.
Yeah, that is the correct answer.
But for me, the obvious, if I had to pick one thing, that's it, and this is why it's like the best JRPG, would be Lavitz. Like, would be the fact that he was just he was just so much better than, you know, spoiler alert. This is the only game I will ever give a spoiler alert on that's come out not within the last like year. Like, you're on the internet, spoilers are gonna happen. But spoiler alert. God, like, his death, he was so much more useful than fucking Aerith. Like, oh my God.
Ever was, ever will be.
Yes, and so you escaped prison with this dude. Like, he was your bro from the fucking beginning. They even had a special handshake. And he got murked. And it was raw. And you know what? You didn't waste your fucking additions on him because Albert came in and was like, yo, I got this. Like, instead of wasting leveling up fucking Aerith. It wasn't
like you spent time building up this character. Right. It just wasn't wasted character development. And absolutely, like, that was the most legendary bromance in any RPG. And like Aerith, you get to meet his family, and he just has so much character development, and just fucking dies.
Oh God, yeah.
He dies trying to save somebody. And it's just so heartbreaking.
He gets the painting done of him and everything.
You have to go tell his mother.
Yeah, you have to go tell his mom. Like, it's so fucked up. I mean, he's like, after you break out of prison, like, the first thing you see him do, really, is he meets that fucking family of refugees from the country that his country's at war with, and he's like, here, have some of our provisions. If you go to this town, you can talk to my mother, she'll take care of you. Or you can request aid directly of the prince. Or king, or whatever. I always want to call him a prince, because his last name's Albert. Or his name's Alfred. I'm pretty sure he's king, though.
Yeah, definitely king. But yeah, just a much better developed character, a much more useful character, a character that you don't waste levels on, a more likable character with a more believable family story. It's just great. Such a more impactful death than Aerith's.
I can cook a big slab of meat. Alright, well, maybe we should leave the cooking to them. Like, God, just... I mean, you even got double choke slammed by Congo together.
Memories.
If I had to choose anything besides just saying one person, or one event in the death of Lavitz, I would point out, especially as far as JRPG goes, the additions. Like, oh my God, they were just so amazing. Like, they blew my little mind.
The in-depth combat.
They blew my little freaking mind. Like, I remember, because I didn't have a fucking memory card for my PlayStation until I had that game.
That's right.
I left that PlayStation on for fucking 4 days until it got to the weekend and I could get a memory card. Like, it's one of those games that I'm so amazed because I talk to so many people. And, like, a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, big on gaming and RPGs, and they're like, no, I've never played it. And then you talk to people like Reese, or people like that, or Will, who never really, well, technically it was his mom's game, but whatever, that don't really play games, or if they did, they were like shooters and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, man, I had Legend of Dragoon, it was great, I love that shit.
Yeah, man. It's just, it's one of those little hidden gems that never got popular, and I just don't understand why.
Probably because it came out after Final Fantasy
came after Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, probably because a lot of people were like, oh yeah, Cloud, Sephiroth. Which I mean, in all fairness, Ledger Dragoon had its white-haired villain there.
Yep.
And he was a badass.
What we're talking about.
Like you fought him and you couldn't even land a blow on him. Like he just kicked your ass.
Yeah, like literally, he just wouldn't. You couldn't hit him. He would dodge. While we're talking about overrated RPGs, you brought up Final Fantasy VII, which is good. I love Final Fantasy VII, but it is overrated.
I like 8 more.
Chrono Trigger. I just could never get into that game. I never liked it.
God, have you ever watched? Because there's like that 15-minute speed run of Chrono Trigger where they just do whatever and get to the end of the game, and it's even like a special ending where all the developers are like, "Wow, you got here in 10 minutes."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched people speedrun that game, and it's just like, well, then what's the fucking point then?
Yeah, that's what I don't get for a lot of speedrunning. Except that one speedrun I saw of Diablo 2 where they did this Necromancer. They just had a skeleton army that was pretty great. That was speed.
Hey, you think you could entertain these folks for about 2 minutes? I gotta go do something. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure, I can find something to talk about.
All right.
Obviously, nothing important on my list, but Lulu, got some apples. Lulu, got some too. Lulu. I'm gonna go on a rant about Final Fantasy 13. You know, folks listening to this, there's someone in this house that actually enjoys Final Fantasy 13, and ooh, them's fighting words. Them's fighting words. She wanted me to do a frickin' image of her in Lightning's outfit, and I was like, what about Ferris? Ferris isn't that bad. She's a fucking pirate princess. How about that? That's dope. She was like, nah. And then picked somebody else. I don't remember whatever. Ferris was really the one I was trying to sell her on. And she was like, no, whatever. I did it, and I did the line art and everything. And by the time it was time to color, I was just like, look, there's a chance every time I close this, I'm never gonna open this again because oh my god, there's so much useless shit on her outfit. But that's not what I want to complain about Final Fantasy 13 about. I want to say that Final Fantasy 13 feels like fan fiction written by another Final Fantasy character. Like, oh god, what's his name? Irving, the cowboy dude from 8. And, you see him the first time you see him, he's laying on a grassy hill with his finger pointed at the sky and a butterfly lands on it. If that guy is not the kind of person that would write fucking fan fiction about his life and his friend's life, I don't know who would be. And since all the protagonists, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, in 7 and 8 and 13, are just moody and meh. Oh, and look, they've got swords, and their name has something to do with the sky, whether it's cloud or squall or lightning. And so it just really does feel like it's fan fiction from another Final Fantasy universe.
And I'm back. Let's not sugarcoat it, folks. I just went to take a pee-pee.
Alright, that's cool. I was talking about how I have a great dislike for Final Fantasy 13 and how it feels like it's fan fiction written by Irvin or whatever his name is from 8. I could see him having a secret love of Squall and being like, I'm gonna write some fan fiction. I'm gonna make him female. He needs a name. She needs a name. Squall. Something to do with the sky. I'm gonna name her Lightning.
Why does Irvin sound like what's his name from Sling Blade? Why?
Because that's just how. Because he's such a pretty boy and everything. I imagine that's why nobody's just like, oh yeah, he's so fantastic. He goes at the selfie and he's like, selfie. Why don't we go check out the rest of the train? Yeah, I'm a huge romantic myself. But yeah, it really does feel like it was just like fan fiction. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna put him in this giant city. I'm gonna have a chocobo in it, but it's gonna be a baby
chocobo. For the record, folks, we hate Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, I was talking about how Joni wanted that frickin' drawing of her in Lightning's outfit, and But at some point, I was just like, look, there's a chance every time I close this, I'm never going to open it again. And I've gotten on here so many times and just done other stuff. And she's been like, so if you're working on that, I've been like, no, I told you, there's a chance every time I closed it that I was never going to open it again. However, part of that was the sequel. And, like, all you said was, like, you didn't go into any details on the sequel. Like, I don't expect you to go into, like, story details or anything, but, I mean, I figured you'd...
No, it's just, like...
If nothing else, I figured there'd be some kind of, like, changes from more recent games that you were like, yeah, I would like that added.
I mean, I can't really think of anything. That was just pretty much a really good game. I don't know what to add on to it.
I can add a few things. Without changing the core, like without changing any of the core mechanics, like if it was just changed over and I just had to change like one thing to it, visible enemies on maps as opposed to random encounters, because that's just something that I've come to love in RPGs.
I don't have a problem with random encounters. I really don't.
I just prefer being able to like see an enemy, like if I'm low on health, and be like, alright, cool, so I can just skirt past this guy.
Well, here's the thing, don't get low on health, you scrub. You have potions, use them.
I usually don't. Like, use them or have them, if I have them. I'm the person that never used the frickin' Super Mega Bomb X or whatever.
The Psychedelic Bomb X.
Yeah, like, I never used it. I never used it, I never used magics. I never got low on health.
Get good, I believe is the term these days.
Oh,
That's
I did.
What the kids are saying.
Like, the only wall I ever hit in that game was that frickin' ghost pirate dude, where you have to kill him and his entire crew within however many turns of each other.
The first time I fought him, yeah, I had a lot of trouble, but then
I was like,
the second time I had high enough level magic, it was pretty easy.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I really don't have anything for this, and then I just loaded up an early save and went on a grind for a bit, and came back and was like, ha ha ha, better magic, everything's dead. And I didn't really hit a wall after that. If I could change it, or if I could have the sequel, for one, there would not be a person that used a bow. Like, a big part of it was, it's like, oh, well, you can't hit these things with melee weapons, because they're wherever. That's cool, I don't care what it is, make it something that can have additions, because I hated using the bow.
I mean, the healing character was pretty vital, because it was a healing character.
Well, until you get the magic on
would have been more... Well, I usually used Miru for healing, but would have been a lot more vital if the healing potions, like the first healing potions you could buy, didn't restore half health. Like, if they didn't do it by percentage, healing magic would have been a lot more vital. Yeah.
Especially once you got, like, the ones that did all of your party, and it was, like, 75%.
Mm-hmm. Basically, the healing character was just pretty useless, like, had no additions, there was no real point to their magic.
Yeah, as soon as I didn't have to have them in my party, they weren't in my party.
Yeah.
Like, the silver characters were just useless.
And like, even though their big deal was healing magic, they didn't have additions, so it was hard to even activate Dragoon with them in the first place.
If I had to just ballpark, like, alternative weapons that could still be ranged, but you could have additions for, anything thrown, or dual hand crossbows.
Or shit, anything on a chain, even.
Yeah, like...
Just anything.
Like, or give them a fucking boomerang. Like...
Or should even still use bows, just give additions to the bows. Was that really so hard to do?
However, again, I'd want additions on all characters instead of having one where it's like, they don't have additions. Also, because I have to imagine this is like something that would feasibly come out, and I mean, I just don't see him keeping like the turn-based battle system, because like no real JRPGs now are keeping it. Like it's going out the window.
And I wish that weren't the case.
And so if I had to choose an alternate battle system, it's what I was thinking about today. I would, if it was still random encounters and not just like set enemies in places that respawn periodically. But if it was like encounters with different battle screens, I think I would want something akin to like the Tales series.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. How the Tales series just has the best combat in JRPGs.
However,
which is true, it totally does.
No contest. If they completely killed the separate battle screen, and they're just like, oh yeah, so now you've got to use these buttons at all times for whatever, and there's no like separate things for them. If it was like just fixed camera angles and stuff, which I'm fine with. Like I like the idea of being able to actually see a map and not having some over the shoulder crap. The thing that actually came to mind, because I didn't actually care for the game, you were alright with it, was in 2 Human. Would be to, but instead of like directional attacking, have it attack whatever direction you're facing, but use like the right analog stick to like select the angle of your attack, and then just actually have to know like the angle combo to do additions.
I'd be okay with that.
Like I feel like
it's funny that you bring up 2 Human, because I kind of forgot that game exists, even though I liked it, and I liked it because it had a really fun combat system. You just kind of tilt the controller, like the control stick, and that's where the guy would attack.
Because cool. when I was thinking about it, I was obviously thinking about like Dart, and I thought about all his attacks, like how his double slash is like a specific way and everything, and I was like, it'd be cool to have a combat system that was just like you flick a direction on the analog stick and you slice in that direction, and I was like, that could really work with additions too, because as long as you did the right order for an addition, just have it do the fucking addition. Like have it do like an extra thing at the end.
People about that being too hard though.
Like, of course they would, because people are pansies.
Battle system being too hard. Yeah.
It's because
I think that's what we can walk away with.
It's because the vocal minority are all the people like us and older that played games where it was like, really, you guys are upset? Like, I wish I had this shit when I was
when I was your age.
Yeah.
When I was your age, I was still trying to figure out like how to move the truck in Pokemon Red. And before that, I just didn't even have save files on my games.
God, I remember.
Like, people forget there was a time before saving.
Man, like, I hated writing down passwords. There's so many games that I never wrote down the passwords for. Like, there were some that did, obviously.
To beat them in one sitting, like Mega Man X.
Or Mega Man.
Yeah.
Or Castlevania.
I bring up Mega Man X in particular though, because that was for the Super Nintendo. They had save systems before then. Why were they still wanting to use passwords?
I don't know. I guess it was just,
Legend of Zelda.
I guess it was just a holdover. However,
shitty holdover.
The thing that blew my mind was probably the change from Pokemon to, like, I'm gonna say Ruby and Sapphire from the previous 2. Like, just the graphical change blew my mind, and how they've just continually gotten more and more useful, like with their inventory and everything. And then when they had the freaking trade from anywhere thing in the newer ones, like that is amazing.
Yeah. The GTS is fantastic. I love it so much.
I'm so glad I don't have to have a fucking cable. Or friends.
God, I know. One of our friends posted something. It's like, kids these days will never know what it means to trade Pokemon with a cable. I'm like, that's not necessarily a bad thing, dude.
Oh no, it's not a bad thing.
Don't you remember how fucking janky them things were? It was awful.
Good times. Good times.
We got way off topic.
Yeah, we did. I'm trying to see if I covered
your list there.
I was trying to see if I covered any of mine in that I could just mark off. Whenever we were talking about Zangief, or however the fuck it's supposed to be pronounced earlier, it actually related to another one on my list, which is because I saw that thing on the internet again where somebody's talking about like female body issues and stuff from Barbie dolls. And somebody else is like, look at this. This is He-Man.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Zangief is basically He-Man, just Russian or whatever.
Bigger and Russian.
Yeah.
Even bigger. And what about that? We did actually talk about one of the other things on my list.
Zangief is a Russian He-Man? Was that on your list? Like, that's weirdly specific.
One of the things on my list. One of the things on my list was old games we thought were fun but really aren't.
Oh yeah, wow, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I stand by it.
Right,
there's so many other I could think of too that are old games that just aren't fun. Like the list goes on. I feel bad too because there's like good old games and all those things now, and it's like, wow, if I wanted to, I'd go back and play all these computer games that I never could when I was a kid because my computer wasn't good enough. But then I think about it, and I think,
and then you go back and it's like, oh.
I think about it, and I remember what they look like and things like that, and I'm just like, that's probably for the best. I probably would have had my own little video game bubble burst at some point in my life, where I was just like, wow, games suck. Let's see, I'm trying to, because there are a few big ones on here, obviously. Damn, I should have talked about Order of Ecclesia whenever you were like, kill 2 minutes. Whatever, I'll get to that eventually.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it'll come up. No, let's go with well, obviously besides the Arkham games. I'm trying to think if there were any other good superhero games. I don't recall. I don't recall any.
Spider-Man 2 for the
Spider-Man 2 with the web swinging and stuff was awesome, and then 3 sucked.
Yep.
In fact,
it's like, wow, how'd you
on the list
fuck that up? You had it on point.
On the list of old games, that it was like, yeah, this is cool, and then I went back and at some point I was like, wow, I remember this being a lot better. Like, what was it called? Like Electro's Revenge or Shocker's Revenge or whatever, the Spider-Man game on PlayStation.
Oh. I remember that game.
With like
yeah.
the death fog that hung between street level and the rooftops.
Like a lot of the early Spider-Man games like that. Awful.
However,
like a Doc Ock's Revenge.
However, beyond the ones mentioned that were pretty fun. God, just so many superhero games suck. Like, what do you like? Sell me on a Superman game that doesn't just suck, or an Aquaman game, or really anybody that's just had a horrible game. Because there was that Avengers game that never came to me. That was like first person, and like everybody had different powers and stuff, and it was fighting the Skrull, and so like they would have combinations of the powers of the Avengers.
Oh, what's that? What are those Marvel games you used to play on the Xbox that were top down and pretty legit?
My first thought was Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. That is not it.
No.
I feel like it was called Ultimate Marvel something though. Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Yeah. That's what it's called. And Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah,
too.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, they were pretty fun. They were basically like Gauntlet, but with superheroes. However, not a multi-hero game, a single hero game. Obviously, not including Batman. Batman's been done right.
A good Superman game would just be a sandbox where they don't gimp Superman's powers. There are realistic physics, and saving people is an option, but you don't have to do it to play the game. Because that's just, you play a superhero game to feel like a superhero, right?
So the problem with that,
a lot of superhero games just gimp the power so much.
But see, the problem with that is if you don't gimp his power, Superman's immortal.
Well, yeah, but that's part of the fun, because then you can just fly around the city fucking shit up and have a great time. Like, think about it. A lot of games, that's the fun of the game. Like, people who play Grand Theft Auto, they don't play Grand Theft Auto. They input all the cheat codes and destroy the city. That's what made games like Infamous and Prototype so fun, was just fucking shit up because you had superpowers. So make a Superman game like that.
God, I had a game.
I'd play that.
I had a game in mind that had come to me that I don't remember what it is now, but where you're basically invincible. Yeah, I suppose I'd play that. My first thought, whenever I wrote that down, was immediate like, what would have to be like a Superman, like a 1v like 1,000,000. But where you don't have an army or anything like that, you just have Superman.
I do not think that modern processors can handle that just yet, but maybe someday. That's an interesting idea, though. I could see that being really fun with other superheroes. That'd make a good Aquaman game.
Yeah, it would.
That would make a good Aquaman game.
Especially because he's like king of Atlantis or whatever.
Yeah, he has an army. So that'd be pretty fun.
I just don't remember any exceptionally fantastic Aquaman villains.
There really weren't any. There's like that one Black Mantis dude, but
yeah, that's the only one that comes to my mind. And then there are other superheroes where it would obviously be easier with, like, you could definitely throw the Flash into something like Infamous, like, because his thing is like super speed or whatever. And then of course, if you needed to do like a Green Arrow game, you could very much do something like the Arkham games or like Dishonored, because his entire thing is he's a fucking archer. And human, quite human.
That'd be a good game. Yeah, very human. Very much so.
Especially with, like, because his entire thing is all those amazing trick arrows. And in the show Arrow, like, there's actually a scene where he sticks a boxing glove on the end of an arrow to take a dude down. Like, the guy's like maybe like 10 feet away from him, and he just like stabs one down into a boxing glove and then hits the dude in the face with it. And it is amazing. It is amazing.
Because ever since that show started, I've been like, well, what happened to all the cartoony arrows he used to have?
And he's still got some crazy ones. Like, he's got like USB thumb drive arrows where it's like he just shot that into a USB port. Like, there's being a good archer, and then there's no, that's not possible. He should have shot one and been like, fuck, and turned another one the other way and shot it. But he is so, like, especially in animated things, he's just so damn campy and everything. Like, it's hard to imagine him in a stealth game, because he's almost as bad as Aquaman.
Oh God, what is that name of the new Batman animated series that has Aquaman in it? And he's just like
Brave and the Bold. Although I guess it's not
Brave
really
and the
new.
Bold.
Like, there was a newer one than that. But I don't remember shit about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. But Aquaman in that one is just like pun lord, king of the ocean.
Yeah, he's always telling stories. This reminds me of the time when Atlantis was assaulted by.
Good shit.
Which the entire point of Brave and the Bold is that it's Batman kicking somebody's ass, and then they always throw in another superhero. And the superhero's like, well, Bats, this reminds me of the time that. Even like fucking Rubber Man or whatever his name is. And it's like, wow, it's nice that everybody here's got a history with Batman.
See, I want more shit like that. Yeah, I want less shit like Teen Titans Go.
No, you know what I want?
I've actually watched that cartoon. It's awful. It's an abomination.
Tyler got a hold of all the actual Teen Titans because Anna kept watching Teen Titans Go. Tyler was like, look, if you're going to watch this, you're going to watch the right one. And I was like, you go, Tyler, you parent. I was going to say something. Superhero games. Campy Batman. Oh, that's what you were saying, Brave and the Bold. I don't know, like, since I have seen the Justice League Gods and Monsters thing, like, it's so weird that a small detail would completely change Superman to the point that he was enjoyable. And it shockingly was not the fact that he was Zod's son, Because that changed nothing. It was the fact he was raised by migrant workers. Because Superman's just so like it's like Injustice or whatever, where Superman's Russian in that one.
Yeah.
Like yeah, that makes Superman so much more
about.
interesting. It's just so boring when it's like, well, I was born on a small farm wherever and raised on good family values, as opposed to I was raised by migrant workers on good family values, and now I say like, adios mio whenever I see a bunch of corpses.
God, Superman's just the most boring character, though.
Although the fact that the dude,
I love that they're trying to shake things up, but
he is
like Mr. Invincible just is not.
He's fucking milquetoast. He's milquetoast. He's just so damn bland and boring. Although since I did get the guy that did the '90s animated Batman for that, God, I really hope that was like a sign that DC is gonna start like releasing like a good fucking cartoon again. Because for the most part,
I hope.
I don't care for DC. Like, I don't know. I guess I like their villains more. Like, they're mostly Batman villains.
Yep, DC has better villains, but they're all Batman villains.
Well, and
Marvel has better heroes because they're more human. They're just better written.
Well, it's weird because especially like with Marvel and like DC, because everything always clashes, and for some of them, like I don't know where they originated, but a lot of them are like Batman based. But I'm actually sitting here trying to think. Brainiac. Brainiac's a cool one that isn't a Batman villain. I like Lex Luthor as a villain. I like him because he's always got like the public eye on him, and so he's always like, "Yes, no, I'm fantastic and good, and I should be your president, and we should kill Superman." And people are like, he's like fucking Donald Trump. Like people are like, "Yeah, no, we'll vote for you." What'd you say? No, we'll vote for you. This man has a plan for America. He wants to kill the guy that saved us from like 800 fucking disasters, but fuck it, he's got a plan. I'm trying to think. I don't know if Deadshot was originally a Batman one or not. He's a good villain. Deathstroke.
Deathstroke's good. And I'm so upset that Prometheus just isn't in anything. He has one reference in Arkham Asylum. And like the fucking.
I would love him in something. He really is like one of those villains that would most likely warrant his own movie though, because he did take down like all the fucking Justice League, pretty much at one point. Like if I'm not mistaken, Catwoman is the one that beat him.
I think you're right.
And that's just because he didn't have a plan for Catwoman.
Sure.
He's evil Batman. Like what more could you want in a villain than a dude that's like, oh wow, yeah, no, my parents were criminals that were killed by a police officer. And so I'm anti-Batman, and I'm just as fucking smart as him.
Yep, just as smart, has all the best tech.
But he
has an equally appropriate reason for being evil as Batman has for being good.
Although, in all fairness, I don't think he quite has the funds of Batman. And I feel like I have to agree that Batman's method for dealing with crime in Gotham would probably be better done if he just like directed some funds. Like I really do.
You have all this money, and instead of just donating a shit ton of money to the police force, I mean, you trust Commissioner Gordon, right? So why not just?
Yeah.
I don't.
And instead
he decides he has to take it into his own hands.
Yes, that is obviously not that he wants to rid crime. Or rid Gotham of crime. That is, he has some emotional shit he didn't work out, and so he was like, "All right, I'm gonna dress up like a thing that scares me, and realistically, probably kill a bunch of people through concussions." Not to mention, I love how Batman's
big character trait is he doesn't kill people. But in one of the first Batman comics, didn't he literally hang a man from a steel cable by the bat plane?
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure in one of the earlier comics that he was in, he machine guns down some Chinese people. Like,
yep.
Like his big thing now is he doesn't kill people. That's a big thing with a lot of superheroes now. That was another reason that,
that
Gods and Monsters Superman was so cool, was because he was just flying around breaking necks and shit.
Yeah, I looked it up. It was actually the very first Batman comic in 1940. He hangs a mental patient from the Batplane by the neck and kills him.
Well, I mean,
In the 40s.
That was before Arkham Asylum. Before they had a convenient place.
Quote as he's flying away, the quote as he's flying away is, "He's probably better off this way."
It's probably, like I said, that was before Arkham Asylum. You know, when they had a, I was totally right on the guy's name too. Oh my god. Like
that quote, I just can't get over that.
There's so much. It's so entertaining to go back and look at fucking. It's like that, like the original like Superman comic where he's about to like crush a dude with a fucking car.
He does crush a dude with a car.
By the way, whenever we were talking earlier about Batman the joke and everything, yeah, I was right. His name is Cesar Romero Jr. Like I couldn't remember if it was Cesar Romero or like Romeo Caesar. The Adam West Joker.
Yeah.
It's funny because part of having an actual like horrible sleep schedule and being up all night until like the sun rises and then going to bed is that for a while there on Saturday mornings, because by God we're going to talk about Wildstar, so I'm going to get into Saturday morning cartoons anyway. But was the fact that when I did have the horrible sleep schedule and I was up all night before I got this weird one, it would be like 5 or 4:30 and it'd be like, oh, He-Man, She-Ra. There was another one that came on.
They still show those?
Yes. Oh my God. There was another one that came on. But then after that, it would be like Adam West Batman and like the fucking Green Hornet.
Holy shit. Because I start waking up earlier.
Because I remember watching it one day and I went over there to my mother's house and Tim was in there eating cereal and he's like, hey. And I was like, hey, he's like, what you been up to? I was like, I've been watching Adam West Batman and the fucking Green Hornets.
Oh, I just got sad because I just remember we don't actually have cable anymore.
Yeah, you'll get over it. You have the internet.
If I really want to watch them, I'll just find them online.
Yeah. I mean, is it bad? I understand why Netflix most likely would not have Adam West Batman. I would imagine Hulu does. That seems like the kind of thing Hulu would.
Like the kind of company that would do that.
They seem like the kind of people that would have jumped on that. They're like, what? Yeah, no, there are people that will watch that. We'll take that. Oh, so you want to hop in on Wildstar, or would you like to cover something on your list?
I mean, we've covered a lot of my list already. I've only got like
I got 5 things left.
I've still got 7 things left, so let's cover a couple more on yours.
It's not on my list, but I'm going to talk about Wildstar because so we downloaded Wildstar because it went free to play, and it was like, oh yeah, cool, free to play, yay. And we downloaded, and it took however long.
It was an admittedly fast download.
Yes, it was.
Because it didn't have the patch afterwards, it just was the download.
Hop on. Fucking mega servers first off. Oh my God. Like.
Yeah, let's.
Which
they're making more servers, so that helps. But because there's mega servers and it was day 1 launch of free to play, there was like a 3-hour wait.
See,
to get onto the PvE server.
Here's my thing. Because if it was like ESO, the ESO did mega servers, and so it was understandable that they had a little inconsistency because they launched on mega servers and everything. But that was when they launched.
Mm-hmm.
Wildstar should have went back and looked and said, all right, so this is all the people we had that were totally into this when it was free to play, and this is all the people that once we announced that there would be a subscription, weren't totally for it. So we should definitely make sure that our server can handle this change in numbers.
At least.
Yes, like.
And they couldn't. And in fact, the servers went down like twice while we were waiting to get online.
Oh yeah, no, that was totally fun. But then thankfully it did not try to combust my fucking computer, which apparently is a problem it has. But that's whatever. Uh, but
Which
God,
do we even know what the issue exactly is? Or is it
I
just
don't care.
some video cards it heats up to 60 degrees Celsius?
I managed to dredge myself through freaking like 30 minutes of it, and it didn't kill my computer, so whatever. Like it leveled out at like 75 degrees, so that's good.
Jesus.
Yeah. Either way. But God, it was just so damn bland. Like, but what got me with the freaking graphics card though is because like it looks like it doesn't even look like a good. It looks like fucking Sonic Boom or a Saturday morning cartoon that would come out now, as opposed to like.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I haven't watched like Saturday morning cartoons in forever, because the only one that I remember was like the Tick, and that there was a masked Saturday morning cartoon. And I was like, I'm sure there were others, but I just can't think of them.
The newest Saturday morning cartoon that I watched is probably Mega Man Battle Network. That was years ago.
The newest one I watched was Sonic Boom, because Anna wanted to watch it. And
well, you live with a little child.
But so. Oh my God, it means that I've seen every freaking animated Sonic that I'm aware of. Like I've seen Sonic Boom, I've seen what was it called? Sonic X, Sonic Underground,
X, Sonic Generations, Sonic Underground,
and
just Sonic.
Yeah, and just Sonic, with freaking Scratch and Grinder or whatever their names were, and fucking Urkel as.
I mean, his name is Jaleel White, but
yeah. See, that's the problem when you become famous for something. It's like whenever they started doing Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Alfonso Ribeiro told Will Smith to pick a name they would want to be called for the rest of his life, because if it was success, yeah. So he picked his name, and the poor dude got stuck with Carlton.
Yep, and he will forever be Carlton. Like, no one ever knows his
name.
Like,
I know the guy's name, but every time I see him, I'm like, hey, it's Carl. It's like the guy that plays Uncle Phil. Like, if... actually, that's not really fair. I know his Uncle Phil and his Shredder, but...
And a Shredder, yep.
Yeah. But one of these, a lot of people know him as more than the other. It's like Adam West and Batman. Like, but it's weird because most people know Adam West's name because he showed up in so much other stuff just as himself.
Yeah. But Family Guy mostly, I think.
But so, well, and there was that that movie that came out in like 2002, maybe, that was just about like, it was like a mockumentary or something with him and the guy that played Robin, like reminiscing on their days as Batman and Robin and everything.
Yeah, I never watched that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. Either way, WildStar is got the graphical comparison of like a half-budget fucking Saturday morning cartoon, and it was fucking up my GPU, but at the same time,
and
like ESO.
For posterity, what GPU do you have?
Frickin' whatever, the same one you have.
Right? Yeah, you got an NVIDIA GTX 770.
Yeah,
and it was blowing up his video card.
Which it wasn't doing it to yours, which was weird, but that's
well, I think I've got the 1 gigabyte and you've got the 2 gigabyte.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I just remember there were minor differences between our computers. Mostly yeah, like brands.
There's no reason for that. No reason at all for that.
But my computer can play freaking like ESO and things like that with like max everything, and like Skyrim max everything fully modded, and like The Witcher max everything, and all these other beautiful games, and a fucking Saturday morning cartoon is what's gonna be like, haha, no, I'm gonna kill you.
And it's not even an entertaining Saturday morning cartoon. It suffers from that annoying like cultural bullshit that started with Borderlands, where it's like you level up and someone's like, yeah, level up.
No, I completely understand, because that was going to be my next point about it. I feel like whenever there was, I assume there was a meeting about WildStar at some point in its design, that they were talking about like what kind of feel they wanted to go for it, and some dude like opened up his briefcase and realized that his child in like middle school had accidentally left his notebook somewhere, and the dude picked it up, and so he was just looking down at it, and the dude had scribbled, or the kid had drawn like a cartoon skull sucking a dick or something on it, and then the guy was just like, I know what route we should take. We should take the route where when you get your first level up, well, at least for me when I got my first level up in it, it said, "Oh shit, you leveled up." Yeah, obviously, it had the whatever sound effect covering the shit part, but it was quite obviously, oh shit,
like
you leveled up.
They tried so hard to be like
edgy,
extreme,
have attitude, yeah.
But then
again, I say 90s morning
cartoon.
Just
so bland. It's just every MMO you've ever played, except more boring somehow. I don't understand how they managed that. Well, because there's no auto attack.
Oh my god, yes.
It's just your skill that's set to a cooldown. That's all you have.
There's so many things I go over because I played it to like level whatever. That really bugs me. Like it really does, because my immediate comparison for it was Guild Wars 2, which has a lot of the same shit as far as like.
But it's good.
Especially as far as like
good MMO.
As like dodging around and stuff. Which is ESO's got that now too, but because they're both done by like the same mother company or whatever. And my first thought after I realized that I couldn't auto attack was, well, this is bullshit. I can do this in Guild Wars 2. I can do this in Guild Wars 2, and that came out like what, like 3 years?
When did it come out?
I don't remember. It came out, and then WildStar was announced. Like that's how long ago it was.
Yeah, hold on.
But so the auto attack thing bugged me. Obviously, the server issues with where I'd press a button and then it would take like 10 seconds.
Wow.
And
it's then just not nearly as old as I thought it was. Guild Wars 2 came out in 2012.
Yeah, so 3 years.
Mhm.
And but the auto attack and the latency, and they just got, and obviously the fail. It's like fucking Sonic X if it was an MMO. Like that's the best way that I can describe it. Because when I think back to like Sonic X or Shadow the Hedgehog, it's the Shadow the Hedgehog of fucking MMOs. That is how I would describe it.
Except I tried harder to like it than I did Shadow.
Oh no, I gave this thing 2 chances. Like,
yeah.
Like I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't just like something that they had patched, because there's a patch between the first and second time I played it. And then I played it again, and I was like, wow, no, it really just is the combat and the attitude and the atmosphere and everything. It's just bland. It really is. It's like I said on that Facebook post where we thought we were finding the golden fleece, and instead we got a fucking chunk of lead.
Yeah, it's just disappointing is the exact word I would use to describe that game.
Yeah, it was. Like we never.
There was a lot of promise.
I never even wanted to get to the point where we would try it together.
Right.
Like by God, if you want to play an MMO together, we'll play fucking ESO together.
Right.
We'll play ESO together, and I'll stand around and do nothing while you level up to the point that Marius or Simius is at. Because I'm not making another character.
He has played far more of that game than I have. Like, I like ESO. I just, as I've mentioned, I'm not that big on multiplayer in general, so I usually stay away from them.
Neither am I.
I have to be in a mood.
And by comparison, another free-to-play MMO that I played recently was frickin' Neverwinter. And while it does suffer from all classes are basically the same, it's fun. Except for the skill thing, where it's like you need somebody with dungeoneering or thievery to make sure you don't get gimped by traps. Very samey, I guess, overall. Like, obviously some of the classes don't have any ranged option, but like the thief and the ranger, and one of the other ones I tried both had like some kind of ranged option and then like an up close one.
Yeah, basically the difference between classes is very minor. It started in Guild Wars 2 is when I noticed it. When every class can heal, it's just they stopped having such dedicated roles. And on one hand, I like that because I like soloing. On the other hand, it does kind of ruin the point, doesn't it?
The thing I would have to say about Neverwinter is definitely that I do not care for 4th edition D&D on paper. Very fun as an MMO.
As a video game, it's great.
Yeah, as a video game, it's great because it's so fucking streamlined. But at the same time, you know, we talked about it because we also played Everon Unlimited, and I don't know. It does feel like a lot of these games now just don't have. Except ESO, you can totally fuck up your character on ESO if you do some stupid shit. Like, trust me, I tried on my first run of Marius. That's why I had to get the fucking skill resets. Like you don't understand. Like, he was useless. He was. Like, I got to the point where I was having trouble, like, just doing normal quests, and I was like, yeah, no, I fucked up on him. I recognize that now, game. Thank you for giving me the chance to fuck up on this character, but I realize I fucked up.
Yeah.
Which is something you can do in Everon Unlimited.
Give you the option to fuck up.
But so many games now are just, like, streamlined, where it's like, oh, well, this is your class. And even older ones, like, WoW has become more and more. Like, the last time I played with Sean, and it was so fucking boring. Like, on so many of the classes, especially a priest, because he went paladin, I went priest, and all I had to do was alternate between two freaking powers.
Yeah, I played briefly after Warlords of Draenor. I had some free time. I couldn't even get past all the starter quests. I like what they did as far as the story goes for the starter quests, but it's for baboos now. Like, none of the startering enemies even generate threat towards you anymore.
Yeah, none of them are automatically hostile.
It's just not challenging. Which, another thing I want to talk about is what happened to MMOs where the game is just absolutely pointless, fluff, and boring until endgame. It's like these game developers just don't give a shit about anything until endgame.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that we talked about it yesterday, I think, and I was talking about how base builders have the exact opposite problem, because in a game like that, where it's like, oh yeah, you build up to this certain point, but then your society that you built runs itself, and you're not needed, and there's no end game. And also that in MMOs, it is like, oh wow, you beat this quest, here's a sword, but there's no point equipping it because in 5 minutes you're going to beat another quest and get a better sword.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, MMOs don't have to be that way by nature.
No, they don't.
They could be more interesting early and mid game, but they're fucking not. Just like no one cares.
And see, like, because that ties in with one of the there's no fail state really for MMOs that bothers me, is that they've really got rid of your options of using weapons that are just horribly useless for your class, or just having a selection of weapons, like in Everon Unlimited, which I would say actually does have a pretty entertaining early game, but I've never gotten to the late game. But that's just because it's fucking D&D and like 3.5. Like, I like playing fucking pen and paper D&D. I can make believe in my head while I'm playing that I'm just this really shitty person on an MMO. But because in it you do have like your selection of weapons, and it might not be as glamorous as like, oh god, I completely forgot about that. Oh god, I just gave myself a migraine.
What?
Oh god, that Pathfinder MMO.
Oh god.
Oh
the
god.
one where the Kickstarter is like, hey, give us $100,000 and you can play the game. Yeah, no, it's not. I'm not doing that.
I don't remember anything about a Kickstarter for it.
So much money.
I don't remember anything for a Kickstarter for it. I remember them claiming that their morality thing would be completely balanced, because if you're a non-lawful character or chaotic or whatever, then you can just do whatever you want. And it's like, no, that's not how this works in MMOs. Like, especially if there's going to be PvP. If you're non-lawful, people are going to kill you. Especially if you're like chaotic and non-lawful, or chaotic neutral.
Don't even get me fucking started on chaotic neutral. I hear the word combination chaotic neutral, and I develop an eye twitch. I hate CN characters so much.
What? I'm sorry, what?
What? I fucking hate chaotic neutral characters.
No, I heard you on that one. Like, usually they're dicks. Like, I'd much rather have a true neutral character. They're easier to deal with. Because most true neutral characters are compelled by greed.
Yep.
And as long as you don't have someone that
just wave some money in front of their face.
As long as you don't have somebody that's breaking character, which I hate that shit. I hate when people try to derail.
Same.
It's already early enrollment. How did it get this far?
What do you...
Like, the last time I looked, it was just what ifs and shit, and not the Pathfinder Online.
Oh.
They're in their first
people
phase.
Actually fucking paid money to have that developed. People actually dropped the money on that.
I was looking to see if they had like a link to their, like, I don't remember it being kickstarted at all, but that does not surprise me.
Well, I don't know if it was kickstarted necessarily, but I do believe it was crowdsource funded. Via some method, you know.
I'm sorry, what? There's no levels in it?
Yeah, I'm probably never going to play that game.
God, I gave myself a migraine. I don't even remember what I was talking about now. Oh yeah, fail states, multiple weapons, and everything. And it's one of the parts that I enjoyed at Eberron was that you could still build a freaking dual-wielding ranger or something like that, and take all those feats so that you end up just like super critting all the time with like the 14 to 20 crit range on some I want to say Kukri. Or there might have been Showtails. I don't remember. But one of the weapons. Because it's what I was building for when I made that, like, 1 point in Rogue so I could pick locks, and... migraine. I'm so tired of MMOs now. However, we did mention ESO.
I think I'm just done with MMOs in general. Just in general. They're just not fun to me anymore.
No, DJ, don't say that. What about Modan the Man? Anyway, no, we talked about ESO, and one of the first thing on the list was to pitch me the fictional Elder Scrolls Path of Moloch game that takes place in their capital.
In Orsinium?
Yep.
It's funny because I've actually thought about a game focused on the orcs would be like. And it has a lot to do with how, in the lore of Elder Scrolls, basically, if you can beat the shit out of an orc chieftain, that's you become chieftain. So I think that'd be a pretty fun game. And like you said, an orc politics simulator, where you just go around beating the shit out of chieftains and trying to gain as much control over land as you possibly can. Gameplay-wise, I don't see a reason to mess with the formula that works. Just make an Elder Scrolls game in Orsinium where instead of having an epic quest, your goal is to just beat chieftains, get land, and build giant cities. Make it a base builder.
I thought you were going to say beat chieftains, get bitches. Although that kind of comes with beating the chieftains.
You also steal other wives.
Yep. God, looks like a headache waiting to happen. It does. The Pathfinder thing, like,
just stop reading.
I can't.
Stop giving a
It's
shit.
like a train wreck, DJ. You don't understand. It's like a train wreck.
Just close the window. That's all you have to do. Close the window and ignore it. Pretend it never existed. That's what I do.
Apparently, I blocked it out last time because like we discussed Pathfinder a lot, and it never came up in my mind, which was probably because of the forums. Ugh. Yeah, I really don't have a pitch for what an Elder Scrolls Path of Moloch would be. However, before we get to the pitch that I know you have, I did have my pitch because I said since you got to come up on the fly with Elder Scrolls Orc Simulator 2015 that I would pitch because so many people are like, oh yeah, I'd love to have a Zelda game where Zelda's the hero. But so many times when I see that on the internet, I wish I could just reach through and smack somebody in the face, like I do, in the nicest way possible. I just want to tell these people, you're wrong, because so many people are.
Tried that with they tried that twice on the CDI.
Well, no. Like people want a Zelda game, but they're like, wouldn't it be so great if she could have like the Master Sword and the shield and blah 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 blah. But see, here's my problem with that. Zelda's Triforce is wisdom. Link's is being a brave, dumb idiot.
Or power.
See, I don't know why people think Zelda would put up with the shit that Link puts up with. Her entire thing is intelligence. She would not be running around in dungeons and shit. It's like in what was it called? A Link Between Worlds, where Ravio is Link with the intelligence one. What's he do? He sets up a fucking item shop and says, "Oh wait, no, I'll support you with items. You go do the fucking dungeons."
And let's Link handle it all, yeah.
And so, but it would obviously have to have gameplay, and it couldn't just be like, "Oh yeah, this is Zelda, Friends of Mineral Town."
I mean, realistically, a Legend of Zelda game where Zelda's the hero would be a puzzle game, like straight up puzzle. Like I know Legend of Zelda already has puzzle elements, but that kind of game would just be puzzle.
See, here's where you and I differ. Because, well, I'm sure some people would argue, be like, no, that's not really Zelda, that's Sheik, if she's the Sheik, but that's still fucking Zelda when she's Sheik.
Still the same character.
Zelda can handle herself in a fight. She can handle herself with the rapier or whatever in
Twilight Princess and Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, and Twilight Princess, Hyrule Warriors was the one I couldn't think of. But at the same time, she's also a princess, and so I don't see her being able to do anything to thwart Ganon as princess, because most people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, no, that's the princess. We can't let her go do whatever." Like, she rules us, but we're kind of honor bound to her family not to let her go die fighting this great king of the desert. So,
I mean, in all fairness, I did say she would do the puzzles as Sheik. I mean, as Zelda, rather.
So,
I mean, I agree with you that she probably would be Sheik if there ever was a game like that.
So, the way I see this in my mind, is as part stealth, part puzzler. But if I had to actually compare it to something, I would compare it to like a Tomb Raider game, but without the firefights. Like a game where
style Tomb Raider.
God, the new one had so many firefights. God, the one that comes to mind is 3, but I don't remember shit about 3. Also, you fight dinosaurs
because now there's two style of Tomb Raider. Because the newest Tomb Raider has a lot of like
firefights,
Uncharted type platforming and firefights. Yeah.
So I'm gonna set the scene for you and everything on this. So it's I don't care where you pick in this. Like on the timeline, I just don't give a shit. I don't. However, because it's the one that I think most people are familiar with, I'm gonna pose this as being at some point after Ocarina of Time.
After the Great Time Split.
Yeah. However, I don't care which timeline it's on. Yeah, no, actually I do. It'll be the one where Ganondorf wins. It'll be the timeline where Ganondorf wins. So, for Ganondorf wins... God, I don't remember how the timelines work. I don't at all. Like...
What do you mean?
Because isn't there one where it's like... Ganondorf wins, but like... It's because Link stays a kid or whatever.
There are 3 timelines. There's the one where Link just straight up fails. There's the one where Link defeats Ganondorf and continues on as an adult, and the one where Link defeats Ganondorf, goes back in time, and then Ganondorf never succeeds in the first place because the royal family stops him before he can get up to shenanigans.
Alright, change of plan. We're putting this not directly after Ocarina of Time. I love the Zelda timeline; it's so fantastic. However, we'll have many of the same locales, if you will. So it's set.
I mean, I love the Zelda timeline, but it totally is just a contrivance that someone put in there to connect a bunch of unrelated stories.
So it's set like
anyway.
It's set like 200 years, whatever. God, but is that long enough? Like, nobody ever learns their lesson in Zelda whenever Ganondorf shows up. So I feel like they must have short-term memory loss or something. Because it really is just, like, wow, like, who's this guy? We've never seen him before, but we have this legend about a hero. Whatever, stick it in there somewhere. Ganondorf takes over Hyrule. Like, when this starts, Link is still, like, in infancy, and obviously cannot save Hyrule. Ganondorf takes over Hyrule using, like, the Bokoblins and the Moblins and the Stalfos and everything that he usually uses. But also the Gerudo. And so he takes over, and he has this game's version of a Zant. Or a Girahim.
Just some general.
Yes, except instead of the normal general release stuff, he's kind of like Frollo. Like, he comes out, and all the people of Hyrule know Ganondorf is the reason they're safe within the walls of Hyrule, which is slowly becoming like this Nosgoth-esque, like, pre-industrial city. But they're safe behind these walls in Hyrule because Ganondorf is the one that saved, and they obviously don't know he's evil, but he's the one that saved them from the armies that were attacking of the horrible monsters and the Gerudo.
Which sounds like something he could feasibly do.
And so his right hand here, like, every day, just goes out and talks to the people every now and then. He's like, oh, it's only through the benevolence of our great Lord Ganondorf that we're all safe from whatever. And so this has been going on for like 10 years. And the royal family disappeared because it's fucking Ganondorf. Guess how they disappeared. And so, like, he made him disappear. It's been like 12, 15 years, depending on how old you want Link to be in it. I really don't care. He's not important in this. This is a game where Zelda's the hero. But every however often, his crier goes out there and he's like, oh, only through Lord Ganondorf do the Bokoblin and Moblin threats not harm us, and the Gerudo who raid to wherever the fuck their desert is in comparison to Hyrule. He keeps them at bay, and of course under the table, west under the table, he's like, hey, you're my people, and they're like, yeah, things are great for us, like, we keep getting shit, and we don't have to stay in the fucking desert. So yeah, we'll keep this ruse up. Just as long as you want. Obviously not all of them are for him. They're never always for him. But the majority of them. And of course, like the Moblin and the Bokoblin and all of them, he's fucking controlling them. He's Ganondorf. But he always makes sure to, like, send people out. Like, his soul, your children, we weep for them, those that have left for war, the conscripts, the volunteers. However, they are heroes keeping Hyrule safe from whatever under the benevolence of Lord Ganondorf. Like, the barbaric... God, what the fuck are they called? What the hell, brain? The barbaric Goron from Death Mountain have nearly been eradicated from whatever. Like, whatever horrible thing you want to throw in here.
basically everything that you're trying to say here can be condensed into the sentence that he becomes a propaganda overlord.
Pretty much. Like, he pretty much becomes what every nation always like has their leader at the time viewed as. Like, through propaganda and force and everything else. And it's like, oh, the Kakiri rebellion led by their great hero is, like, the boy hero is being thwarted at every turn by our soldiers, and they shall not harm you, and everything. So that takes care of Link. Like, he's off dealing with his own shit, because Ganondorf was smart enough to just send people that Link won't kill to, keep him at bay.
Just normal dudes.
Yeah, like, he was like, why send armies of darkness when I've never seen Link slit a dude's throat?
Except his own.
But so they're taking care of it,
regardless.
And of course, propaganda out the ass. Like, everybody loves Ganondorf. So Zelda can't move in the open to take care of him. Like, she can't just be like, oh, I'm your rightful princess, kill that guy. Because people go like, yeah, you are a rightful princess, but stuff was kind of shit while you were princess, and he's keeping us safe. And so, it's in this Nosgoth-esque pre-industrial setting, so that it's a little more cramped, a little more crowded, a little more room for her to move around as Sheik. And the entire game would play stealth the way you should play stealth. Like, I hate it in stealth games where it's like in Assassin's Creed where it's like, oh no, guards found me. I guess I'm going to pile up 100 corpses. Like, it shouldn't be like that. It should be...
turn this into a murder simulator.
Yeah, it's like in Dishonored, where for the most part, if enough guys spot you, you're fucked. Like, you're not sword and boarding your way out of that, or sword and pistoling, or whatever. And so, stealth has... It's like Thief. Not the new Thief. Like, the good thieves. Like, 1, 2, and Dark Shadows.
Where if you get caught, there's a very good chance you're fucked.
Yes, because that was a big part of Thief. Was like, you really can't handle yourself against multiple enemies. That's why you're a thief. And while Sheik is not necessarily a thief, like, she obviously has some kind of Sheikah combat training. I mean, she's a fucking ninja, basically. She shouldn't be out in the open. She shouldn't be caught. And so it would be like stealth. I don't want to say exploration, but it would be, because it's a fucking Zelda game. They're all open world. Go here, go here, go here, and you can still keep that in a city, and still have the stealth elements. Where like, oh, you're trying to get wherever and find the thing here. But don't let the guards find you, because not only are they like the loyal servants of your empire, they're just not themselves right now, following a false leader. They're also going to kill you. Because
I feel really bad, because it seems like you've put a lot more thought into this than I did for my game.
I really haven't. Like, it took me maybe 5 minutes to come up with a skeleton of this and run with it.
Okay, I think the difference then is just I didn't care as much.
Well, pretty much. But so then you could still have like platforming puzzles, like give her some maneuverability, like in Tomb Raider and games like that. Or no, Devil May Cry's platforming sucks. Never mind. Yeah, like Tomb Raider or something.
It was terrible.
And then still give her like the thought invoking puzzles, like make the main aspect of it puzzles. Just, you also don't want to make sure that you get shanked in the street.
That sounds fair.
Like, I wouldn't want it anywhere near as combat focused as like an Assassin's Creed game. But it does have the good mobility that I'd be like, yeah, like mobility like that. Like, give her some buildings and shit to run through.
Yeah, and I like games that do that. Make a very mobile, agile character.
Oh, I almost forgot. On the Crier's pitch for the Gerudo, and everything, related to them, but not directly. They also, like, I don't care what, if you want them to worship the fucking 3 goddesses or whatever before that. After this, they're worshipping the twin goddesses, because that is who granted Ganondorf the strength to drive back the evil and save them.
Which one's missing then? Oh, Twin Rova.
Yeah.
My bad. I totally blanked there for a second. I was like, what the fuck?
And of course,
Yeah.
if you wanted to throw in like drop some names in other places, you could be like, oh yes, the great and mighty General Orlox leads his troops wherever, and blah blah blah.
Pretty
I
good
really
pitch. I
in
gotta
my
be honest
in
though.
my skeleton pitch, I couldn't find a way to fit Tingle in there, and I'm a little disappointed.
Who gives a fuck, honestly? Um, to be honest, like that was an amazing pitch, but I still think I'd rather play a game where you just get to be an orc and do city building.
Oh
Like
no, that'd be
as,
fun
as
as shit.
detailed as your pitch was, I think mine sounds more fun.
Oh no, I'd play the shit out of fucking orc city building and punching dudes in. Like, I've modded Skyrim so much, like I've become an orc property baron at least once. And again, Fallout 4, really look forward to the base building. Really do. Like that just seems
Yeah,
like it's
I
gonna
didn't
be
know it was
fun as
going to
shit.
have. I didn't know it was going to have base building or city building. Now that I know that, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to most.
So, you got anything else on your list you want to jump on?
Uh, I mean, we're already talking about Zelda, and this is kind of a cheap question, but what's your favorite Zelda game?
Ooh, God, that is a tough one.
It is
My
a tough question.
my first thought, well, because I'm typically a fan of the top down more than the 3D. Um,
That
but
was the next question, was whether you think top down or 3D is better.
but my first thought was actually Wind Waker, because I don't. There's just something about it that, for what Zelda is to me, like a grand adventure and everything, like it just seems to encapsulate it more than like Ocarina of Time and like Twilight
Mm-hmm.
Princess. I've never really like played Skyward Sword. I've watched you play it. Obviously, I've seen some other people play it, but I haven't played enough of it to have an opinion on it. So it's just kind of out of this one. Like I
It's a
said,
lot better than people give it credit for.
like Wind Waker, first choice. However, honestly, like just I'd have to say it's Minish Cap, just because that's the one that anytime I've wanted to play a Zelda, it's just been like, yeah, I'll just play Minish Cap.
That's fair. I think I'll agree with you on Wind Waker, personally. Uh, you're right. It just has this grand sense of scale and adventure.
Also, best
You're not
Ganondorf.
just some, and absolutely the best Ganondorf, the most relatable Ganondorf.
But
Like, oh, you guys think I'm so evil, but really, I just want my people to get out of the fucking desert where the wind murders people every single day.
but
Like, how can you be mad at him after that?
the thing that gets me with Wind Waker, it's just the the freaking Zora. Like, oh my
Yeah,
god,
okay.
how was it easier to grow
The Zora
wings?
turned to bird people
How was that
after
evolution? How was that evolution easier than adapting to salt water?
I don't even know. I have no words for that.
Like that is always what gets me whenever I think about Wind Waker, and I'm always just like, but how? There are fucking sharks and other things that can deal with both. Like, how is it easier for them to become birds? How did they not just ride Jabu Jabu to greatness?
Even though, yeah, like Jabu Jabu's still around. I mean, he's Jabu now, but maybe an ancestor or something. But yeah, like why not just? I don't get it either. Obviously, he didn't have much trouble adapting to saltwater environment.
Yeah, of course not. Not to mention they're fucking magical, like even beyond just like normal evolution. Like,
But yeah, I will say Wind Waker seems to have the best scale and sense of adventure. But my favorite is still
also it's the best Zelda.
it's really, what'd you say?
I said it also has the best Zelda.
Yeah, I can agree with that totally. That is hands down the best Zelda. The best game? It's a toss up for me between Twilight Princess and I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but Skyward Sword.
Yeah,
Like
I will say
everyone
Skyward
hated that
Sword
game, but
definitely has my favorite art.
everyone hated that game, said it was really repetitive, and I'm like, how is it any less repetitive or more repetitive? than other Zelda games where you have a hub area and three themed offshoot areas. You have the desert, a volcano, a forest, a lake. Okay, more than three, but you know what I mean. You still have the same areas. Is what I'm getting at. Like it's the exact same setup as it's always been. Just the only difference is you have a more convenient hub area where everything's really just in the same town instead of going all over the fucking place.
Yep. Like I
And
like
as
the
for the
art style more.
controls, yeah, the art style is great. And
Like
people complain about the controls, but I never had a problem with the controls.
I've
It never was an issue for me. You use the Wii Motion Plus, and it's pretty much flawless.
never seen anybody have problems with controls. I don't know where that comes from. Like
Yeah, well, it's the one
everybody
thing
who
everyone
talks about it's
bitches
like, oh
about.
wow, it's great. Like it's so much better than it's so responsive.
Yeah.
But like I said, it definitely has my favorite art style of it. I like the fact that you can make Link be a dick.
Yeah,
Like that's just
I know what you're
great.
talking about.
Just like through slight
Uh, I,
dialogue
I, like,
choices. You know,
I like the fact that he is more mobile. Like he can do a little bit of wall running and he can dash and stuff. I
yeah,
like the fact that he actually has night training.
yeah, that was nice.
One of the few Zelda games where it makes sense for him to know how to use a sword.
Hyrule Warrior, another one.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Honestly, I think
but
Hyrule
yeah,
Warrior might have my favorite Link, where he is just a soldier.
yeah, just some asshole that happened to be in the right place at the right time.
And also a slightly better swordsman than the nameless soldiers around him that would die horribly to Ganon's monsters. Or
Hmm.
whoever the fuck the
Um,
first villain in that is.
wow, I really want to play that game again. Um,
I keep wanting to call her Lucretia, and I know that's not it.
no, the first villain you actually meet is Wizro.
Yeah.
But yeah, Skyward Sword. It has, like you said, my favorite art. Um, I like the sort of crafting system in there where you can upgrade your items with tools that you find out in the game.
Isn't it the first Zelda with a
I
fully
like the
orchestrated music?
Yes, I think so. The music also really good. I like
Like his items.
the story, how it's like the beginning of the Legend of Zelda Legend. Just everything about that game's good.
And
It's my favorite.
the only also like the demon guy, like just as a character, like, he's entertaining. Where Link goes
Oh,
to like
the
kill him, and
demon who
he's like,
wants to be a human.
"No, don't hurt me! I'm
Please
a
don't.
big softy.
I was just looking after the kid. She got lost.
I wasn't gonna eat this child. I swear. Don't kill me. Now do me some favors." Um.
Yeah, very entertaining. You're right.
And the only real problem with it is a problem with a lot of Zeldas, and that's the useless assistance. I'm never sure how you're supposed to say her name
Yeah.
though. Like
Um,
I saw somewhere that it's supposed to be like
Fire
Fi or something like that. Yeah. Like she's
Yeah.
nowhere. She's whatever. The Ocarina of Time had Navi in it, so that's whatever. I like the fact though
Yeah, that's
that
kind of public, of course, at this point.
there's a mod for Skyward Sword that all it does is pass like the initial required one for her. She never shows up again. Like it just completely removes those cutscenes.
I like her though. I thought that was another aspect of the story that really fits in well.
She was going Hyrule Warriors.
It turns the weapon into more than a weapon. It has a personality, and you
Yeah,
realize
but
that in all the other games she was still there watching over you. It's just I don't know. I
yeah,
thought
but
it
I
was
would have
neat.
liked it if personality wasn't popping out ever often, being like, "There's a 49% chance that Zelda is blah 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 blah."
Yeah, I mean the assistance aspect is pretty annoying, but then in the cutscenes, it was a lot less annoying and more personable. Kind of hard to explain.
So what you got left on your list? Or did I just
Not
kill like
much.
all of them by accident?
Nah, I've still got more. I just want to make a quick break, real quick. I've been drinking water during all of this, and I got to go to the bathroom again.
All right, cool. I'm gonna talk about Order of Ecclesia while you're gone, and then you're gonna have to entertain them.
Oh, you gotta go too?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll be right back.
Seriously though, I hate Final Fantasy 13. So horrible. My God, it takes on so long. And people are like, but it's like, it's so great that it makes you feel like you don't have a choice, but then you get to the open world and blah 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 blah. But my God, if I have to dedicate 10 hours to a game and it still hasn't got to the fucking meat of the game, there's an issue. I'm so tired of fucking cutscenes too. I've been watching some people play Bayonetta 2, and my God, it was like a fucking 10-minute cutscene, and it was like, why? Why would you put this in here? However, I've been playing Order of Ecclesia, and it is the Castlevania game I never knew that I wanted. I think I read that it's the last Metroidvania-style Castlevania game that had come out, and I would be happy with it ending there, because it is just fantastic, and I love the fact that it's split up into shorter sections, and honestly, Shino is just a badass. And never Google her. Never. Not with not with safe search off. Oh God, my brain. Ed Albus is awesome. Dude uses guns. Like, that was just so. I fought him as a boss fight because, spoilers, he's a boss in it. He's the main driving force for a while there, and it was like I was reading about it because I was trying to find out how to do something in a room before him, and it showed up, and it was like he has like normal shots, and I thought it was gonna be something magical. No, he just shoots you in the face with a fucking bullet. He even like crouches and does his moves. You can't just duck. Like, I cannot wait to do some Albus mode in it. And then freaking Founding Father Wizard was also awesome, and it's like, yeah, now you get to fight Dracula. And I was like, yeah, yay, oh Drac. Oh, racist Drac.
I'm back.
Cool, I gotta use the restroom.
Alright. Super professional. Let never be said that we are even remotely good at what we're trying to do. I don't know really what to talk about. I guess I can talk about annoying main characters. I've been playing Tales of the Abyss again lately, and I forgot how much I hated that main character. He's this just horribly petulant, arrogant asshole, and like you can't have a main character that's just unlikable. The way they handle it though is pretty good because by the end of the game he's likable. But I don't understand because it's not the only game that does that. There are other games that have really unlikable characters that you're supposed to relate with, and that character doesn't change at all throughout the entire game. Just really annoying. I'm trying to think of other examples. I'm not necessarily main characters, but there are some characters in other RPGs that are just. We were talking about Eris earlier in Final Fantasy VII. That's one character I absolutely cannot stand. She has no personality or anything. Basically, quit making characters that have no personality traits, except how fucking horrible they are. The villains too. Like, you can have horrible villains, but no one's just 100% evil all the time.
I'm kind of curious
Why don't you have more relatable villains?
I'm kind of curious about what item list or whatever you were talking about, where I came in and you were just like, no one's evil all the time.
I wasn't talking about an item list. I was just ranting about how much I didn't like Luke as a main character from Tales of the Abyss.
Oh God, yeah.
And I was going on about
such a douchebag.
And I was going on about like why do game developers or game writers write characters with no redeeming qualities? And that includes villains. You know, like why not have more relatable villains? Like we were just talking about Ganondorf in Wind Waker. Yeah, he's an asshole, a bad character, but like his motivations aren't terrible. Why don't we have more characters like that?
I had a character in mind actually as soon as you said villains, but I don't remember who it was. But it was just somebody where I was like, I don't even want to kill this guy. Like I can't, I just fail to believe that he is just this evil and he has no redeeming qualities.
Yeah, who were you thinking about?
I don't know, but my immediate thought after that was about what is his name? Kenway from Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
That's not a good character.
See, for me, that was fun though because you ran around as him and did all this stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, and he's a Templar, and so I guess he's technically kind of evil in this. And it's like, really? Because I mean, he seemed like an alright guy.
Oh, you said 3. I thought you said 4.
No.
Yeah, I can actually agree. Kenway from 3 was
like
pretty cool character.
After having played as his little bastard, like I would have much preferred just continuing to play as him. Like.
Yeah. I was thinking. God, that's who I should have said. Connor from Assassin's Creed 3. Just the terrible character. His only character trait is anger, and there's nothing redeeming about him.
He also does not turn green and get stronger as he gets angry.
It's just after the Ezio trilogy, where Ezio was such a multifaceted, amazingly written character, you get
especially as he
Connor,
got older.
and it's just such a letdown. Yeah, like as he got older and more experienced, it was just such a good character arc. And then Connor was just an asshole. Like that was his character trait.
It makes me think of Devil May Cry and then DMC. Because just you know where I'm coming
from. Well, the Devil May Cry remake.
Yeah.
Where they thought good writing was just 2 characters shouting "fuck you" at each other.
Yeah. All Assassin's Creed 3 does have my well, besides obviously Kenway, one of my other favorite villains I've seen in the game in a while, which is that dude that when you kill him, he's like I had a beer in one hand and a tit in the other.
He's like, what do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
It's just like, wow, man, that hit deep. That hit deep. Oh God,
what else you got?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I'm running kind of low here.
Let's go ahead.
I've got 5 left.
I've got 2 left, but we're gonna go. One of them is the one we're doing last. The other one we're gonna go ahead and knock out. Pathfinder yourself.
I've been dreading this one.
I know, so have I. It's why I've held it off so long. I was
hoping you'd forgotten about it.
I'll go first. I'm gonna say 8-12 splits. 8 urban barbarian, 12 archaeologist bard.
Right.
As far as weapons and feats and everything go, don't really have any. Except skill focus stealth. Because for whatever reason, I am fantastic on sneaking up on people, and I don't know why. Like, I'm a big guy, and like it's just amazed me that I've walked on like hardwood floor and like cowboy boots before and things like that, and walked upon people, and they'd be like, "Oh shit, where'd you come from?" The reason I say urban barbarian, by the way, is because they have that bonus to moving through crowds, and if there's one thing I'm sure you learned from being in a high school with me, is that I'm amazing at moving through crowds.
Yeah, I usually just start close to you because people would move away from us.
And like all the times
when I went to college, when I went to college, I learned that I also have that magical property. So I don't know what the people in high school were thinking when they saw both of us walking.
Or like the time that I was in front of, I think like you and Tyler and somebody else, and then like the next thing I was behind you guys, and one of you was like, "How the fuck did you get back there?" And I was like, "I walked back there." It's like the perfect combination.
You just, like, walked all the way around.
Yeah, it's the perfect combination of stealth and crowd movement. Also because, ooh, damn, my temper. Like the problem with whenever I get angry, which is the other reason I chose Urban Barbarian, is because when I don't get angry, I don't lose myself when I'm angry. Like I become like the cold wind that chills to the bone.
Ooh, edgy.
Like
Watch yourself, kids.
Like
Don't
there are some people like they get angry and like they like throw shit and they scream and everything. When I get angry, I get really quiet and like I just get really focused. And then I usually scare people.
Up to a certain point, I have seen you throw shit and scream.
Yeah, at that point,
you claim.
At that point,
afterwards, you claim you're using words, but they're never words.
Yeah, I was about to say. However, usually if I do get angry beyond that point of being calm, yeah, no, I'm fucking gone. Like that is beyond rage to like orc ferocity. Like that is, I'm still there, but my body cannot physically handle what I am trying to do.
There you go. That's one of your traits. One of your feats.
Although I would obviously be human. As far as attributes. God, I have such a low constitution.
You get sick.
Like give me endurance as a feat for being able to like stay up and shit, because I think that's probably the thing Tyler said most to me in my life is, how are you still alive? Like talking to me after I've been up for like 3 days or something, I'm still going strong. And it's just like, I don't know, dude, I'm just not tired. Like that,
but
and
at the same time,
because I can sleep
how much
anywhere.
Have you been sick this year?
This year, only like 3. They've all been like serious.
Only like 3.
Like I said, yeah, they've all been serious. Which is usually what happens for me.
You know that 3 is like 2 more than the normal person gets sick per year, right?
I don't know if you know me. Most of the friends I have are in very poor health. Actually, now I'm trying to think. I had that chest thing. It might have been one this year so far, but that's because it hasn't been fall and winter yet. Well, fall going into winter. It's supposed to be winters at the start of the year. But also because I can sleep anywhere, obviously, and I feel like that would directly translate into being able to sleep in any armor. Because they don't have one where it's just like, your guy can sleep anywhere without a bedroll, because your character should probably never not have a bedroll. They're cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, they're super cheap, and why would you never have one?
However, the fact that I've fallen asleep comfortably on like concrete tables and stuff before tells me that I'd probably do alright sleeping in chainmail.
Yeah, I always think about that time I fell asleep on the concrete steps out in the back of the school, and none of you motherfuckers woke me up. It was time to go home.
My favorite story of anybody falling asleep, though, is that time that Kirby fell asleep in the library, and Tyler thought he had left him and everything and couldn't find him, and then he came out after like 10 or 20 minutes and was like, "Hey, how come nobody woke me up?" And we were all like, "We thought you were gone."
we thought you left. But yeah, is that all for your character?
Obviously some points in knowledge engineering, probably quite a few points in knowledge history, a couple of knowledge local, but that's because we live in a small town, so everybody fucking knows everything about everybody.
A town as small as ours, it's literally impossible to live in this town without learning about the town. It's just impossible.
I don't know if there are any flaws for sucking at climbing while still having had a good skill in it at some point. Because I used to be amazing at climbing, but now with like my knee and shit, like I can't climb for a day. I can barely walk half the time. Swimming, I'd obviously have high swimming. I'm trying to think about the attributes because it's really hard to say which one would be my primary. Like obviously Constitution would be my lowest. I mean, I'm really good at throwing stuff. At the same time, one of the things I've thrown is like pretty much a whole tree sans branches and the fucking roots. God, it really is tough to decide.
Strength and
I'd have to say
dexterity.
though that realistically, like, God, I feel kind of bad. I'm gonna have to say my second would probably actually be strength, just because I don't ever go to the gym or anything, and I can do shit like that.
No, I mean, to be honest, you and I get the exact same amount of exercise. Neither one of us do shit ever, but somehow you're still like twice as strong as I am.
Like, that's why I'm gonna say secondary.
And I'm not necessarily weak.
Because my primary, both of our primaries are obviously mental. I'm torn between intelligence and wisdom though. Like,
well,
I'd probably say
intelligence applies more education, so I'd say wisdom for you.
Yeah, I was about to say I definitely have more like good sense and just general advice than any particular formal education.
Sense, yeah. Yeah.
Shockingly, I would actually have to say that, like, if I had to give it a number, I'd probably say I have like a 15 in charisma. Like,
pretty standard.
Yeah. Like, mostly because. Oh, and I would obviously have points in intimidate. And I don't know how I got those points in intimidate, but they're there. I don't know where they came from. We've been over before how people are always like, I don't know, he looks scary, and it's like, how? Like, he's super nice.
Yeah.
It's my face.
I don't get it.
It's the face I always make.
But you're like the nicest person. And people say the same thing about me. It's like, oh, he's so big. Yeah, but I'm not. I'm fat. I'm not like tall or buff. I'm just fat, and people think I'm scary because he's so big. I don't get it.
Points in diplomacy.
I can see that.
Also, I have something to break to you after this. It's gonna break your heart. Have her on the charisma thing, because while I don't particularly enjoy talking to people, anytime somebody has to handle my food or anything like that, I'm just the most charming motherfucker in the world. Like, as soon as someone is going to be handling my food, I am their best friend. Also, I suppose, technically, I've destroyed at least one marriage and or engagement. So, not through my penis. Well, one of them. That's not important. Anyway, let's hear yours.
Well, I'm curious now about.
And some points in ride. Oh, you want me to go ahead and break the news? DJ, and all the time we've known each other, I'm a fake guy gamer, DJ. I've never actually played a video game. All the time we've known each other, it's been clever camera cuts, and there's actually been this guy and a cape. And there's been this guy behind me, and every time you see me hold a controller, it's actually been his hands.
Where the fuck did that come from? Is that a David Bowie reference?
Yes, it is. I saw a thing online where it was like some contact juggling, and somebody had said, you know, like, oh, whatever, like, blah blah blah, labyrinth, and all. It's like, fun fact, you know, blah 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 blah. And then I thought, you know, I'm gonna tell DJ that I'm a fake guy gamer. I said all the time he's seen me, it's been clever camera cuts in somebody else's arms.
I mean, I don't want to say I find it hard to believe, but you know, it totally makes sense. God, my character.
It explains the billowing cape and the man in a morph suit behind me all the time.
Obviously the only thing I think I've got going for myself is intelligence. So
yeah, it's fairly obvious you're gonna be a wizard.
Yeah.
What's cool?
Well, hold on. I'm really, really good with animals, so I'd probably say it's a familiar adept archetype. As far as schools,
I mean, if the familiar adept even has one, I feel like they'd be forced into conjuration.
Schools. Let me see. I'm actually looking at the familiar adept now. Yeah, like they just have the school, the familiar school, but you still get to pick. a school.
Oh, and archaeologist
So
bard, obviously, because I can't perform for shit with any instrument or song or dance or anything like that. But I'm really good at just pulling up random shit out of nowhere as facts.
yeah, you're pretty good about that. You know a lot more about history than I do. So yeah, probably I don't know, familiar of course, and then conjuration for utility and shit because as useless as I often am, I also just know a lot of really random, really useful shit.
Hmm.
Primary attribute intelligence, of course.
I kind of feel like you should have Constitution as your second one, just because I've seen people drop kick you in the stomach.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking Constitution because I'm thinking I used to get sick a lot, but it's been like 2 years since I've even had a cold or anything.
At the same
And
time, we should
also,
we should also probably have that feat for handling ingested poisons and sickness.
yeah, I can eat some terrible shit.
I ate fucking
But yeah, and
moldy
also that
pizza.
thing you mentioned where people can just like drop kick me in the stomach and the chair will get pushed back, but that's it. See, a secondary probably Constitution. Third, I think probably Wisdom. I don't think I'm terrible with common sense or anything.
I'd say
And
fourth
then
is definitely got to be
Strength,
strength. Yeah,
and
then
then
dex.
Dexterity because I'm pretty fucking clumsy, and I can't throw for shit.
Oh, as far as weapon,
Uh,
obviously I would have to have an axe.
I can see it, totally see it.
Axe if I had to have ranged. I guess bow.
Yeah.
It's not that bad with firearms. I just don't like them.
I'm good with firearms and I like them. So that'd probably be my weapon.
No, I think your weapon should quite obviously be machete sword.
Oh yes, that's a story I get to tell now. I collect swords. I don't. I collect them. I've got like two. There's one in particular that when I first got, me and Matthew were checking it out, and I had it in my hand, and we both reached for the scabbard at the same time to put it up. And I wasn't paying attention, and I sliced off a piece of his thumb, and the scar's still there, right, Matt?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right
And
now.
like the day after, I found the piece of skin that I cut off still on the sword.
Like the sad part is, it's the same thumb that almost got took off in a fucking 4-wheeler accident. This poor hand.
um. Yeah, I'm not bad with swords. The only thing is that I've never really
Used one.
used one. So, probably secondary sword. I definitely prefer guns because why the fuck wouldn't you? Skills, dude, I don't even know. I mean, I'm a really good swimmer. I'm great with animals.
Alright,
Apparently, I'm intimidating, which I don't understand.
so we're gonna go ahead and say arcane in this instant will directly translate over to technology, like programming and shit.
Yeah,
In that case, I probably
I've
need at
got
least
more
1
than a few
point in that.
points in that. Yeah, I've got more than a few points in that probably. Um, Not really knowledge history. I suck at history. I'm trying to think of all the other skills. Hold on, I've got character sheets right here. Knowledge geography. Yeah, I probably got a few points in that. Probably a couple points in knowledge engineering.
Isn't politics one of them?
Nobility.
Yeah, same thing,
I'd have a point. I'd have a point in that. A couple points in knowledge religion. I'm an atheist, so you kind of have to know a lot about religion just to hold your own in the conversation. Nature, oddly, considering I fucking hate nature, I just know a lot of random shit about it.
I know why I hate it.
Yeah.
1 word, spiders.
Probably got 1 point in linguistics just because
Well,
the
for
random
you.
shit I pick up. Well, it's not just spiders, just bugs in general. And
If I had to
sweat.
pick a single thing out of nature that I'd be perfectly fine if nature did not have, it would be fire ants.
God, fuck fire ants.
Mm-hmm.
No points in bluff. I can't lie to save my life. Not terribly perceptive. I probably got 1 or 2 points in that. I can't ride a horse for shit, but I'm a pretty good driver. I guess that translates. And apparently, I'd give myself a couple points in stealth, because apparently for such a big dude, I don't make any noise when I walk. When I lived in Birmingham, I had a neighbor downstairs for like 2 months who didn't even know anyone lived upstairs.
Oh, alternatively, you could have craft code. I didn't even think about that. I have craft and then just question mark. Craft,
you don't
a little
so
bit
much
of everything.
make things as you just cobble shit together.
Yeah, pretty much. If anything, I'd probably have craft potluck as one. Since the majority of my cooking that turns out amazing is literally, well, we have these 4 things left over that don't go together with anything else. Yeah. Also, I guess I have a couple of different profession at least 1 point in.
Yeah, well, I mean, profession kind of ties in with everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt really dumb and narcissistic to talk about that, but I think that's kind of the character I'd be.
It's always interesting to try to figure out how to sell yourself reasonably. All right, so what's on your list? Because I've only got the one left, and we're saving it for last.
Well, while we're talking about Pathfinder, a couple questions about Pathfinder monsters. Well, we'll get to that one. First off, what's your favorite Pathfinder monster? We're going to exclude the Pale Stranger because that's by far just the best Pathfinder monster.
Yeah, no, we already had this talk. It's definitely the goblins.
Yeah, the Pathfinder goblins are amazing. They're just so comical and dark.
They really are. Like, they're the fucking mascot for it. Like, there's no better way to put
it. And for good reason.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that's come up in Pathfinder besides the Pale Stranger that I was just like, oh, that's so cool. That would totally be my favorite monster. But no, not really. Goblin.
I really like Pathfinder goblins, but my favorite Pathfinder monster is the Elohim.
I'm sorry.
And I like the Elohim. The what?
I'm sorry, the what?
Elohim. Elohim. It is literally like the Christian god.
Really?
Or just, yeah, like the ecology thing is just, an Elohim is a strange being obsessed with creating miniature worlds populated with creatures of its choosing. It creates new permanent demi-planes or alters remote environments in pre-existing planes, seeds them with new life, then eventually abandons them. And the Elohim might return to its creation decades or centuries later to observe how its progeny have fared, and might allow them to continue or eradicate them completely. They communicate with other beings only rarely and always in a cryptic fashion. It's the fucking Christian god.
Well, it's the Abrahamic god, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty great. That's actually pretty great. I didn't know that existed.
CR23. Yeah, it's in...
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What's the CR on the Tarrasque?
I'm looking it up. Just a moment. Dead air in the meantime. 25.
So, what I'm hearing is Tarrasque could take on God. That's what I heard out of that.
Well, the Elohim also has 6 mythic ranks. So they probably kind of balance out there.
That changes it. We need to find out if there's a YouTube channel dedicated to tabletop death battles of characters and things like that, and totally get this to do the freaking Yes, I'd like to see the Christian God take on this immortal giant monster.
See, the Elohim special ability is create life at will. It can create any one plant or living creature. A created creature can have no more than 4 hit dice and be no larger than large.
All right, never mind.
And
Well, I was about
not
to say
under the Elohim's control. It's not under its control, so it's there. And it has natural spell casting, so it can cast spells in any shape.
Oh, it just. I feel like the create life thing would be completely useless against the Tarrasque.
Let's see. It also has, what has it got? At will, it's got Baleful Polymorph, Charm Monster, Etherealness, Rest Eternal, Shape Change, Stone Shape, and Greater Teleport. 5 times a day it has Control Weather, Greater Dispel Magic, Greater Polymorph, Heal and Plane Shift, and Terraform. 3 times a day it has Circle of Death, Disintegrate, and Power Word Stun. And once a day it can create a demiplane and use Mage's Disjunction.
That would be an interesting fight. That really would.
It would be really interesting, you're right.
In all due fairness, Cthulhu is also in Pathfinder. Like,
Cthulhu is also in Pathfinder.
It would not have to be a 1v1. It could be a 3-way. It could be a fucking Mexican standoff of horribleness.
And like, they don't even try to name it anything different in Pathfinder. It's literally Great Old One, space Cthulhu.
Oh yeah,
CR30.
I love that shit. Like, that's great. So in my mind, I see the Christian God and Tarrasque teaming up to take on Cthulhu.
But yeah, the Elohim, you kind of have to dig through it. It's one of the offshoot bestiaries. But it's in there. It's official It's official Paizo too. It's not like any of the fan-made stuff.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I forgot Cthulhu was in there. Until I mentioned it. Now I kind of wish I hadn't went with Goblin and I'd went with fucking
Cthulhu. So now that we've done that, do you want to try to pitch your own Pathfinder monster?
Sure. Did you have one for yourself too? Or
yeah,
am I
I've
just
got
pitching?
One. It's very simple.
Alright, let's hear yours.
It's very simple. Mine is just 2 words.
Dick
Spider
shark?
Orcs.
Spider Orcs?
Spider Orcs.
Oh god, I just remembered how many crazy freaking monsters I've come up with, and now I'm regretting my choice of... I'm trying to decide if I want to change it or if I want to keep it, because I feel like there's enough horrible shit in Pathfinder. Like, the first thing that came to mind was the rhinoceros, like, gorilla things with frickin' scorpion tails and lobster claw arms.
Or the monsters that are literally just gorillas with wings.
Oh,
and
oh my god, those things are amazing. They would totally wipe out gorilla tars. Dire gorilla tars. No, I'm totally gonna say the Flutterham.
Now, for people listening at home, can you describe this creature?
Yes, I can. I was taking the drag off a cigarette. The Flutterham weighs precisely the Flutterham is the size of, let's say, a house cat. The size of a normal house cat. Looks like a hamster, but it's not just a hamster. This is a hamster that is in like plate armor that has been crafted for it. Technically, it's a red Flutterham. They have 2 gas sacks on their back that they use to float around. Whenever anything like tries to like attack them, or they find something in their territory, because they're extremely territorial, and they also have obviously some level of intelligence. Otherwise, they would just die horribly. Anytime something that they're not used to seeing, like they have recognition, they don't have great recognition. If they're used to seeing orcs in their territory, another orc that isn't one of the orcs that's usually there wouldn't set it off, but a human would. Things like that. They let out a high-pitched scream that can be heard up to a half-mile away in good conditions, and they usually serve as watchdogs in dungeons. And things that are around Flutterhams generally have a knowledge of how they work. So if you were in a dungeon that's populated by orcs, and they hear a Flutterham go off, they know you're there.
Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming for dinner?
But they have plate armor, protecting pretty much everything vital to them, unless you're going to shoot them in the eye or in the sacks. The problem is they can still scream either way.
Yep.
You could use magic. You could set them on fire. But the problem is that if you set them on fire, the gas in them expels a force that does like burst 25, like 3d6. Like it is a giant gaseous explosion. Gaseous.
So really the best way to handle it is to have a wizard in your party and have him cast silence, and then just murk it.
Pretty much. There's also green Flutterhams, and you're never supposed to let them interact with each other. Because if their gases mix, it actually is like magical wizard dragon fire. And they're adorable. They're adorable.
They're pretty cute.
He's
drawn them before.
They're adorable, and they didn't make their plate armor. Other people made the plate armor for them. Little hamster plate armor. Yes, they are. And they're adorable and non-threatening as long as you're not stupid. They also... They were so perfect though, because I asked so many gamers I know that play like tabletop games, and I was like, so I'm gonna describe this monster to you, and I'll give you like you can have whatever party you want. How are you gonna handle this? And so many of them were just like, honestly, I would probably just sit down and cry. Like I don't know how I'm supposed to handle this.
It took me a really long time to figure out a good strategy. I forgot that silence was even a spell.
I know so many people overlook it. Like,
yeah.
Alright, well, we're burning through your list to get to mine, so what else you got?
Well, I mean, I kind of wanted to expand upon spider orcs.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, go ahead. They weren't horrifying enough.
It's an orc with 6 arms, sets up to 6 weapons, 6 attacks per turn. Venomous fangs, 8 eyes. And they're probably bigger than your average orc, just based on they need extra torso room.
In my mind, I just see a green forearms. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. That's pretty close. Except with more arms.
Just with falchions instead of.
Let's see. I've still got a couple of things. You know, I was reading something the other day. Apparently, people get absolutely furious when they see somebody whip out like a DS in public. Like, is that really rude to be in public and just whip out a mobile gaming system? How is that different from just like using your phone to play a game?
I don't know. I'd probably say it's because most people have phones, and it would seem to, from an outward appearance, to take less effort to just play something on your phone. It probably feels more like a deliberate fuck you if you pull out a DS.
Well, I mean, you're still ignoring everybody.
Yeah, but people are
like.
I really wish I'd grab a drink.
I bring my 3DS with me everywhere. I won't lie. It comes with me everywhere. All right, and of course, I don't like pull it out in the middle of a restaurant or nothing. But if you're just sitting around waiting, why not?
Yeah, like if you're like at a doctor's office or on public transportation or something like that, I don't see the problem with it. It'd be completely different if you were in like a business meeting and whipped out your 3DS and was like, "No, hold on, checking my smart path."
Well, absolutely. I mean, in that case, it'd probably be even rude to pull out your phone anyway. So.
I mean, at least then you could claim that you were checking PowerPoint or something. Yeah, no, right. I'm not playing Galaga.
Who would believe that? Who would honestly believe that?
Probably no one.
Nice Avengers reference.
Yeah. It was either that or Space Invaders, but Honestly, if one of these things was gonna come to a phone, it'd be Galaga. Or Gradius. I could see Gradius.
I mean, that was really short. I mostly just wanted to bitch about that. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Excuse me. Man, my voice is going everywhere tonight.
Alright, well...
A couple of other things that probably have spawned longer discussions.
Alright, keep talking for 30 seconds.
I kind of want to talk about just open, expansive worlds full of absolutely nothing. Games like... Well, even though I love Dragon Age Inquisition, it just is so empty. Like, you have these massive maps that just take forever to travel from one end to the other. And there might be a couple of quests, but for the most part, it's just nothing.
Alright, bag. What are we talking about?
Big, empty worlds in video games.
Like, I see we're still on Fallout New Vegas.
Well, I was actually talking about Dragon Age Inquisition, because I've been playing it recently. And it's like, yeah, there's stuff to do, but most of these huge maps is just nothing.
Yeah, that desert place comes to mind, where you fight the one dragon.
God, yes. The hissing wastes and the western approach, both.
Like, I was thinking about it, but they were what popped up in my mind as soon as you said that you were talking about Inquisition. I was like, God, just going through that desert doing jack shit for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, like you shouldn't feel frustrated when you forgot something across the map. You know?
To an extent, I suppose, like Saints Row and like GTA and games like that are also kind of guilty of that. Yeah. Pretty much anything like, with an open world past a certain point becomes really fucking barren.
Yeah. I would much rather have smaller, more densely compact, better designed levels than just big, expansive, sprawling wastelands. Unless that's the point. Like that, what's that game for the PS3? Lost?
I thought it was called like Journey or something.
Journey. Yeah, and games like that where it's the point. Shadow of the Colossus also comes to mind.
Well, what is that other one that was like done by the same people as Shadow of the Colossus?
Ico, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I'm guessing it was also like that.
I mean, it was empty, but it wasn't very sprawling. There's a lot of indoor levels of that level design.
I'm trying to think of other games, but New Vegas is still what comes to mind.
New Vegas definitely comes to mind. The difference between New Vegas and Fallout 3 was that Fallout 3 just had a lot more to do.
It was definitely more compact.
Check out.
Which I guess is something I'm hoping for with Fallout 4, is because with Skyrim, like, oh my god, there's so much shit to find in Skyrim. Like,
yeah, and on top of all that, Skyrim also has random encounters.
Yeah, I was about to say, and then sometimes
people running up to you and trying to murder you.
Sometimes you just walk up on somebody that's hiding in the bushes, like on the side of the road, and you kill them, and then later discover from your friend that they're actually part of the Thieves Guild, and they'll pay you because you're the guild master.
Yep. That happened to you.
Yeah, no, because in Skyrim, I'm totally gonna let some dude that's crouching on the side of the road with a weapon drawn run up on me. That's how I accidentally killed that orc bodyguard of that shopkeeper. Because I just saw this orc coming at me, and instinct kicked in, and I killed it. And then it was like, wait, no crap, that was the guard. And I had like the bounty thing, and then I was like, well, no witnesses.
What you need to do is you need to pay attention to the armor. If it's Thieves Guild armor, and you're in the Thieves Guild, they'll either just ignore you when you talk to them, or if you're the guild master, they'll pay you. If they're wearing the Dark Brotherhood armor and you're a member of the Dark Brotherhood, it's the same deal.
I had never realized that the quest with Sapphire and the guy's debt, that if you're the guild master, because I'd never done it like after I was guild master, and she's just
Yeah,
like,
that's
"Hey,
always one of the
boss,"
first
and
things
you're
I do
just
in LinkedIn.
like, "So I understand you have debt." And she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I was gonna cut the guild in," and you're like, "Uh huh." And she's like, "Here you go. I'm gonna leave him alone now." And it's like, "You're damn right you are."
Yeah, that's usually one of the first quests I do, so I never really knew that either.
It makes me think of that picture that's going around the internet with the bandits, where it's like, "Hey, you see that guy who just killed a dragon and absorbed its soul? Let's mug him."
Let's go fuck them up.
I wish more games had some kind of morale system, like in Warhammer 40K and the other games that that company makes that I have on my Steam library right now that I can't think of the name of. Company of Heroes and Company of Heroes, where it's actually like, oh my god, like half our troops are dead in one shot. Let's get the fuck out of here.
And they just lose it. Yeah, like RPGs need that system so bad.
They do. Like if I and 1v1000 or 100 games like Dynasty Warriors and things like that, where I sit there and I kill like you can get crazy kill
What?
counts. Like I've had 5,000 kills before in a map, and they were still coming
Why
at
did
me.
they not stop running?
Yes, why at some
Why
point were
don't
they
they
not
just...
like, nope, I'm done. He's beat our leader 4 times in a row now, and he's captured all our bases. Fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, like Hyrule Warriors has a morale system, and that kind of works pretty good. Where depending on how shitty your army's doing, they'll either just like get massive debuffs or they'll get buffed up.
Oh god, we can't beat this Bokoblin. Ah, he's fucking us up. I wish the hero of time was here.
Yeah, RPGs need it, because I remember this one time, again, Skyrim, I come across this group of bandits fighting a mammoth, and then I got in the mix, and then a dragon got in the mix, and I killed the dragon, and I killed the mammoth, and I killed most of the bandits. And there was one bandit left, and he's still like, I'm gonna make you pay, and then I cut his head off. And it's like, dude, why didn't you just run?
I feel like
I gave you the option.
I feel like that would be so easy to implement too, from like a modding standpoint. Like because fear is a spell in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Yeah,
feel
just like inflict them with fear if they watch you take out an enemy of a certain level or higher.
yeah, like inflict them with. Well, obviously, it should also probably be based off of your level somehow.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But I mean, like definitely, if like you're fighting a bunch of bandits and you kill their leader, and you're already like 10 levels higher than them, they should be like, no, bye, fuck it, I'm gone.
I'm out.
Alternatively, if that would be so interesting too, especially with like the realistic patrols or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it would be.
Where if they had it,
because
if they implement
patrols route one another.
Because if they implemented fear, they could just as easily implement the courage spell.
Uh-huh.
And that would just make it so much more interesting to walk upon some Stormcloaks and some Imperials to see like the Imperials, because I'm always on their side because fuck Ulfric. Just like crush half of the Stormcloak group with the help of the Dovahkiin, obviously, raining arrows from afar or running in there as an orc with sword and board and cutting dudes' heads off with the shield. Have him just be like, we're out of here. I don't want this fucking keep anyway.
Yeah, stuff like that would be really good to implement.
Or God, even if it was just like, but how would you implement that? Like if there was like fear that afflicted dragons, the more dragons you had killed. So that eventually
that could get annoying.
So that eventually, because dragons are strong as shit, like you probably have to kill at least like you'd have to kill at least like 5 dragons per character level for it to balance out when you start getting the higher levels and the dragons are stronger. But I would be so glad that at some point, from just killing sheer amounts of dragons saw me and said, nope, Because at that point, you usually have way more shit than you need from dragons, and you don't need any more souls.
Yeah, I did get to a certain point in Skyrim where I had like 30 or 40 souls left, and I had all the shouts I was ever going to use.
And it's just like, yay! I'm so glad that these dragons keep attacking me.
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, if somebody gave dragons like conversation options, so that once you had killed like Alduin, they would just show up and like try to be like, "Whoa, sorry, they're Dovahkiin. I didn't mean to whatever. You're gonna let me leave?" And you could be like, "Yeah, go on. I don't have time for you." You could be like, "No, I'm gonna eat your fucking soul."
Let's see. I think we're both down to one more, and the one you wanted to talk about is probably going to be a long one. Is it about Dark Souls?
Yeah.
All right, then. Just real quick, I just wanted to be a little salty about how much it sucks when a really good game has a really slow start.
Which game do you have in mind?
What? I mean, take your pick.
Well, you said good
Souls?
game.
I mean, Dark Souls is generally accepted to be a good game, but it has no story hook in the beginning. Like, how do you get to the point where you're writing for AAA games and you don't understand story hooks?
My first thought was nepotism. That's because working in industry of any kind has just salted me to no end over nepotism.
There's another game that I was thinking of. I think it was Tales of Innocence.
Yeah, I think you said that it didn't hook you.
Yeah, like it had a pretty decent hook at first, but then it just got so jumbled and clusterfucked so early on, and just I wasn't into it.
Yeah. Again, WildStar
yeah,
was like that. Like it was like, wow, you had like 30 minutes to get me invested, and you failed.
Yep. I mean, take your pick. Can you think of any games that are just like, wow, I really want to like this game, but I don't have any reason to give a fuck?
Honestly, one of the first ones that came to my mind was Final Fantasy 13.
Absolutely. I had absolutely no reason to care about that characters in that game. Dragon Quest VIII is another one for me. Because I like Dragon Quest VIII, but I had no real reason to care about the characters. God, there's a lot like that though, where it's just the gameplay's solid, the writing's pretty solid.
But you just do not give a shit about the characters or the story.
Yeah, because they decided to go for the slow build, which is fine. But it's like you said, you've got about 30 minutes to an hour in the beginning of the game to get you invested in the characters and the story. And the rest of the game can have an amazing story, but if you don't get that players hooked right away, they're just not going to care.
Well, I guess we should roll over to this last one. My God, it's already midnight.
Yep, we've been at this for at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
Probably 2.5 hours at this point.
I gotta wake up at freaking 7 or whatever. That'll be good. No, I gotta wake up at 8. Yeah, no, that's right. Lindsay Scar's fixed. I gotta get up at 8. That's cool. Means I'll get a full amount of sleep. Oh my God, DJ! Like, where do we even start on Dark Souls and Sons? No, my bad. Demon Souls and Sons Incorporated.
Just don't make a game that's difficult for the sake of being difficult.
See,
like if that's the only thing your game has going for it, then fuck you.
See, my favorite argument that people use when they talk about Dark Souls is where they're like, "Oh, but dying in it is such an important part. It helps you learn." It's like, no. Have you played any fucking video game ever? Dying is a part in every video game. And all Dark Souls is fucking pattern recognition.
Yep, just like fucking Mega Man. Except Mega Man's better.
And you know what? Like
because it has a quicker restart. Dark Souls, you die and it's like, oh shit, I went back to that bonfire and lost all my shit. It takes a while to get back to where you were.
I'm trying to count Mega Man games in my
awful.
head that I've beat, and honestly, whatever. The point is that pretty much every Mega Man game I've beaten, including the first one and like Mega Man X, uh, yeah, no, pattern recognition. Like at this point, when people talk about games where that's the fucking key focus of it, I'm like, no, you don't understand. I came from the time before the internet, when you played Mega Man 1, and if you didn't fuck up and luck upon it, you didn't know you could use Robot Master weapons.
Seriously.
Like the reason I'm so good at Mega Man games now and can generally go through them with nothing but a buster is because that's how I thought you had to do it. And I've seen people play Dark Souls and use no armor and just a rapier and pour into decks, and they're just like, oh yeah, side roll, side roll, side roll, stab, side roll, side roll, stab, side roll, side roll, stab.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, see but how do you find that difficult? Like, unless you were a fucking idiot and tried to use like a sword that you didn't have the strength for.
But you see, that's the thing. People do think it's difficult. People do think it's difficult, and the only reason they think it's difficult is because you die a lot. And I'm like,
But that's
just
every game.
Well, not every game, not anymore.
But at a time, that was every game. That's how games had length.
But it's not. It goes past the point of being difficult, which it really isn't. To the point where they say it's difficult, and that's the only point of the game. Like the story.
Well, some people talk about how
the story's good. I don't even know if the story is good because I never gave a shit enough to play far enough into the game to see if it's good.
I've heard the story. I don't care for it.
I played far enough to go, wow, this is really fucking tedious. All the difficulty in the game is fucking time padding, because you die and then just spend time getting back to where you were, and then that's not fun.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen speed runs of it that did it in like 30 minutes. It is totally fucking padding.
Yeah.
The one thing
that's the entire game.
The things that I have heard people say about them that I don't agree with, but whatever, I can respect it as a choice, is when people do say that it's not necessarily the story, because I've heard the story and honestly it's stupid. But when people talk about like like the world and the ambiance about it and how it sets this tone, and it's got like these like open like amazing things, which whatever, I don't agree, but I can respect that as a choice. And then a lot of people don't like 2 because it doesn't have those things.
I just the only redeeming quality that I can think of in Dark Souls is that I kind of like I kind of do like the level system.
Yeah,
where it's like you don't necessarily gain levels, you just put points in the shit.
Yeah. And then of course, because I mean, I don't know, like if you ask me, out of like all of the games that have a D at the start and Souls as the second part of their title, because that does include Demon Souls. And I mean, honestly, if there was one of them that you were like, all right, no, you have to play one of these games, otherwise I'm gonna. God, I'm trying to think of somebody they could threaten to kill that I'd care enough about to play one of this. No, my mother's had a good run. Honestly, I guess Tyler's Kid. Like, if somebody was threatening to kill a fucking 3-year-old if I didn't play, whatever, like had a gun to her head, was like, you must play one of these. I'd probably choose Demon Souls, just because it has like a nice little hub world and everything. And again, it also has that one boss that doesn't do shit after you kill her guardian, and she's like, all right, yeah, whatever, kill me. That's all I had.
Another thing I really fucking hate about these games, I don't like it when a game just like it's a big open world, but there's this one enemy that will just fuck your ass raw if you aren't a certain level. I can't stand that. If you're going to make such a big, expansive world and open for exploration, then make it open for exploration. Don't put these bullshit enemy level blocks that are just frustrating because then you die and you have to go back and get your shit and not die again. It's bullshit.
I'm trying to think of what the big thing everybody said about Bloodborne was. Like,
I don't know. Bloodborne's been pretty much completely off my radar.
same here, but a lot of people that like, because obviously the people that like fucking Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 are the people who got Bloodborne. There was like one specific point of it and it wasn't like oh, you got to attack instead of turtling because it's how you gain health after you've been hit. There was something, but it was exceptionally stupid. Like, in the nicest way possible.
Well, that makes really good podcast conversation that you can't remember.
Like, again, it's just one of those cases. Like, Bloodborne's just been completely off my radar because they're like, oh yeah, Bloodborne by blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Didn't like the other fucking 3 games. I'm really down. I'm gonna be super into this one.
Yeah.
So it kind of just dropped off.
And I tried very hard to like Dark Souls. I've got it on Steam. I had it on console. Just the Steam version alone, I've got. Let me see. I've got 5 hours on the Steam version. I put about 10 or 15 in the console version.
So you beat one
it's
boss.
Like if you gotta put, it's the same problem I had with Final Fantasy 13. If you gotta put 20 hours into a game and you're still not interested, just admit at that point that you don't like the game. Yeah.
It's really gonna bother me. Although I do remember watching that fight against that pig boss thing where you just shove your hand into its anus over and over and it stun locks.
Bloodborne, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember seeing another one where it was like this guy on a rooftop with a Gatling gun. And he would just like murder you if you were out in the open when he was done reloading. But you still had to fight things. And then you went up to him and climbed up this ladder. And then he just fucked you up. And it was like, wow, he didn't even need the Gatling gun. He could just hop down there and fucking brained me.
Yeah, the point is just Dark Souls isn't difficult, even though the whole point of the game is difficulty. There's nothing else the game has going for it, and it fails at that. It's just tedious. That's all it is. It's tedious, time-wasting padding.
One thing I will say for Dark Souls over Bloodborne, because they're both obviously gothic, like very dark, very whatever. I can't get my head
again.
That flippy
No color.
thing that the favorite lead singer of my band does. I definitely like the setting for Dark Souls more, because in Bloodborne it's just kind of stupid. Like, I'm trying to think of a better way to phrase it, but
I don't know.
I mean,
I actually kind of prefer the Bloodborne setting.
Like, if
I know of it, mind you, I don't know a lot about it.
If Bloodborne was an anime in that setting, I would watch that anime. But as far as in a game, there's just something about it that just doesn't do it for me. Alright, so I've got a headache, and I'm tired of talking.
Yeah.
And honestly, we could go on for like another 2 hours on Dark Souls and things like that, and just difficulty in general and fail states. But
yeah, I think it's time to call it for the night.
Yeah, my throat hurts.
Yeah.
My throat hurts, and I'm pretty sure we're well over 2 hours.
If you actually listen to this entire thing,
no refund.
Shit, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Find a fucking hobby, something, anything other than this.
That would be my advice as well.
Alright, man. Nice talking with you.
Yeah, and, cannot wait to go over there.
Everyone for listening.
Cannot wait to go over to your house tomorrow and eat blueberry waffles. Then wake you up and be like, "Oh, DJ, I tried to wake you up before, but oh, it was such a shame. Your mother even made some for you, but."
Like, I'm still probably not going to go to sleep until like 2 or 3.